That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Goglings, Gogorifics, Gog peoples of the world. I hope everyone is doing well and has had a pleasant week, and I hope everyone is looking forward to, actually 2 weeks. I haven't spoken to you for 2 weeks, because last week I was doing a live event, which went very, very well, a live interview, and that is now over, and so we are back to Pen and Pixels. Welcome to episode 351 of Pen and Pixels. This is D&D, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. I am your host, Arvin Elleron, and I am here with the full GOG RPG crew. But before we go any further, and yes, with a jaded person whose punches are hard, a person with tentacles, a strong man, and one who's wonder and very bloodthirsty, all guided by a dungeon master who has a new main objective in life to grow a fine mustache and a soul patch. I would say I agree with most of that. I don't think I need more of a fine mustache than I already have as a part of my beard. And as for soul patches, But anyway, it's good to see everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. And I am excited for the adventure today. Before we go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on the channel. If you have not already done so, please make sure to follow us here on GOGCOM's Twitch channel. Please make sure to subscribe to us here on GOGCOM's Twitch channel, where you can get those awesome custom sub badges, DRM free, to use everywhere across the world of Twitch. And if you have not already done so, please consider clicking through to our individual channels, because we all the streamers here have our own subsystems and Patreons and stuff like that for a part of this. So I am very excited for this, and I am very excited to be able to bring you back into the world of Saltmarsh. We've got D&D with GOG this week. Next week is going to be Talisman Adventures as we get back into that. And then we'll be moving into the month of December. We'll have some more Road Warden. We will have some more of this game, some more of Talisman Adventures, and it's going to be a good time. So that's what we've got going on. But first, I need to bring them in. So I'm going to unmute myself and apologize unreservedly for having interrupted them because I can't hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them so that now I can hear them and allow all of you to see, with the power of technology, that they are here. We are prepared and here. They are ready, the full crew, and more than the full crew, because we've got the full crew today, because we are again joined by one of our favorite Canadians. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. Before we go any further, though, I do want to welcome everyone in the stream to this, and I want to welcome the team, beginning with the head of the GOG stream team, and that, of course, is the amazing, incomparable Pyron Jade. It's good to see you, Pyron. How are you doing? How's life in the universe with you? Now that your sounds work completely well without having broken anything at all, how are you feeling about stuff, and who are you playing in today's session?
So, some of you might remember that last week my Kenku sounds didn't work, but we got that fixed. But just before the stream started, I figured out, okay, we had that fixed, but I can't hear my desktop anymore. So, because there is no risk at all with changing settings just before the stream, while I was live, we changed the settings again, and now even that works.
Wow. So
There
it
we go.
all works for
It
now. I'm
all
just waiting.
works,
I'm
and I
waiting for
think
your
so.
webcam to go. Like, damn it.
So yeah, actually life is being pretty good. Like my kids are being like the most wholesome kids imaginably currently, and it's just so adorable, and I'm enjoying that immensely. And
awesome.
also I do have we can't talk about more because of things, but there's going to be a multiplayer stream tomorrow night, and I'm really really excited for it. Also I'm playing Waves Crashing Against a Rock, a Kenku, and you should now be able to hear her name sound again. As soon there it is. Button.
There it is. There it is.
That is her actual name. So for those of you who don't know, Kenku don't like speak in the normal way, but they parrot things, so they can repeat every noise they have heard, but with human-like, which I really hate in the D&D thing,
Yes.
Intelligence. So they use all the sounds and phrases and words they have heard to communicate, and that's why I use this wonderful little soundboard here to say things like, for example, my name is Waves Crashing Against Rocks.
My name is.
There you go.
It works. So there is that. And yeah, so we're doing diplomacy, and I'm really really excited for this because I'm sure we're wonderful at it.
And Uncle Fester, they are not crazy birds with no wings. See, this is the kind of, this is what Kenkus have to deal with on a regular basis, and it's just wrong and should not be permitted. They are just
that
as
is prejudice.
Capable. Yeah, I mean seriously. That's absolutely the key. And yeah, human-like intelligence, like half as smart as most phones. Yeah, basically, Rudy. That's basically
I forget
what
it was,
describe.
but there was an amazing piece of art with like different Kenkus as different classes, and they were all different types of bird, and it was the most wonderful thing. And I'm never going to find it again, but it's out there. People should look for it.
That's awesome. It is good to see you, Pyron, and I am very excited to see what Waves gets up to today with full soundboard on board, I guess, and tow, so to speak. So always a pleasure. Also a pleasure to have Darksaber 2K with us. As I always say, until people get sick of it, thank you once again for doing Moobot and Dashboard as always. Shirt today. What is the shirt? I'm seeing.
Oh, hang on.
Red 5 standing by, but what
Edge
is the
5 standing by?
Oh,
Iron Maiden and Star Wars.
Ed 5 standing by. That's freaking awesome. Iron Maiden and Star
mascot.
Wars. What better combination could you have? It's good to see you, Saber. How is life in the universe with you? Also, Saber and I are officially allowed to have this without being annoyed at each other because the United States and Wales tied in the World Cup. So no one's really angry at anybody. It's just, it was a tie and we can just all go out and do other things. Like,
it's fair.
Take down Iran, and all that other sort of stuff in that group. But anyway, how are you? How's life in the universe with you, and who are you playing today?
I've been keeping pretty busy at the moment. So we had a Terraria community multiplayer stream on Saturday, which Pyron joined me along with a whole bunch of my community, and that was a lot of chaos because we were trying a super secret seed, which combines all kinds of rare world elements. Like you start at the bottom of the map and have to dig up, rather than starting on the surface and digging to the bottom of the map, which means you get all the lava and the water dropping on your head. Your tombstones, when you die, can kill other people if they land on them. So we had lots of funny worm-style chain reactions of gravestones bouncing downstairs into people climbing up behind you and things like that. So that was very chaotic. And Sunday, I started a new Skyrim playthrough with a silly build that I've just thrown together, where I'm going around dual-wielding pickaxes.
I lurked for a bit of that. That was very fun.
It's hard, but very fun. I'm actually really liking it. I'm just trying to refine it a bit more at the moment, and nearly finished with Mass Effect 3. So like I say, I've had a lot going on in my streams, but tonight we're finally getting back to some Ghosts to Saltmarsh, and I'll be stepping back into the boots of Morthriel Gagonian, dwarven artillerist at your service. And at the moment, he's just kind of taking things in. He can't understand what's being said. He's having to rely on what's being relayed to him, but he's realizing the stakes are escalating fast since we knocked on this door.
Yes, there was a lot when I was prepping for this, there was a lot towards the end of our last session of people being like, this is bigger than we thought. This is bigger than all of us. This is a big deal. So I think scale, chat, is think Leviathan-like scale. Or the scales of a leviathan. Anyway, I just will allow the party to conjure with that. But it is always a pleasure to have Saber with us, and I'm excited to see what Morthwill gets up to. I am also excited to see what Mike's character gets up to. It is, of course, Peripheral Mike, as always, with us. Good to see you, Mike. How are things going with you? How is life in the universe with you? And who are you playing in our lovely session this evening?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, I had a good weekend of going around different parts of the UK shopping for retro PS1 era and PS2 era video games.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
So, yeah, I spent way too much. Anyone who's on my Discord knows I spent way too much money. This is why I'm not allowed grown-up funds. I spent way too much money on old games and old tech. And now I'm going through the process of cleaning them and making sure they work and testing them. So tomorrow I may be streaming some old retro games, as well as other things later on in the evening. Who knows? So stay tuned for that. But yeah, otherwise it's been really good. I've really boring news. I created a file server for all of my video editing work, which makes it slightly less awkward when I accidentally lose loads of stuff from a hard drive. So, you know, I actually know what I'm doing now almost. I'm applying those tech skills to my everyday, which is pretty cool. But today I'm going to be playing Silvojanus Betulus, our half-elven aberrant mind sorcerer with a unknown magic ability. He hasn't tested it out yet, so at the minute he's just happy he's not in a fight, so he's kind of okay with that at the minute.
That's true. The time before that, of course, he had been in a fight in the sense that he got his brains beat in as a demonstration for a bunch of lizard folk by his own party members. So, you know, that's how that went
He did
down.
start it though, so he's okay with that.
That's true.
If he loses a fight he starts, he's all right with that. If he gets jumped, then you know that's not on.
That's true. He started and finished this fight, so I think that's fair to say. It is very good to have Mike with us as always, and good to have Silva with us as always, and it is also good to have, of course, Ananda with us, continuing Ananda's play with us over the course of how long have we been playing Ghosts of Saltmarsh? Has it been like it's over a year, right? Have we been playing over a year? I think
this is episode 18, so a year and a half, I think.
Oh gosh, a year and a half. Wow. So Ananda's been playing with us for that long. It has been a pleasure. Nanda, how is life with you? Did you also traverse the UK looking for retro games and run into Mike? I don't know. And who are you playing today in today's session?
I would have loved to have traversed the UK looking for retro games. However, my car is broken down on my driveway currently. So unless I can walk there, probably not. I have been doing some cooking streams over on my own channel. I've been playing some Skyrim, been loving that. My first ever playthrough of Skyrim. Also playing some Dark Souls 3 for the first time. So stepping outside of my comfort zone quite a lot. And absolutely loving that. Also found out last night that my shortest spawn is coming home on Thursday for a long weekend. So Yay. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with him. But yeah, tonight I'm going to be stepping into the slightly soggy boots of Brian the Bloodthirsty, who's a Water Genasi fighter pirate. She's quite bold. She's got a very strong sense of crew and sense of family. That doesn't always mean she makes the right decision, but she's a trier. So I'm hoping that today she's currently in quite a vulnerable position in the water, along with some potentially dangerous characters, but we're hoping that we're going to make friends. And this isn't the last that you're going to see of Brian the Bloodthirsty.
Absolutely. Well, listen, in the United States, it's Thanksgiving is coming up, and so it's about feast. It's about coming together collectively to give thanks and be collectively together. So I'm sure this is just a family of sea creatures that don't ever get into fights otherwise. And it's not the case that all the pressure is on you to speak for every land dweller, and on you, Brian, to be the bridge between land and sea. I'm sure that'll be fine. And there are no problems. I can't imagine there'll be any issues whatsoever.
I'm absolutely glad that Oceanus is here so that I can share this responsibility.
Yeah, we heard that quite a bit last week, actually. The last session, we're just like, oh, thank God, Oceanus is going to be here. And speaking of Oceanus, always a pleasure to have Ananda, and I'm excited to see how Brian is going to handle things today. But it is also a pleasure to have, as I mentioned, one of our favorite Canadians, and that, of course, is the amazing Fleos, who has returned to us. I feel like, and I just want to say this quickly, that I'm looking at the scenes. He's got the wood of the shelves behind him, but he's got the red. It just feels like I'm looking at the Canadian outfit. It's a Canadian winter
true,
outfit. He's
eh?
got the warm shirt, like the whole bit. I'm very excited for to have that Canadian styling. Let us say. I don't know how many more times I could say Canadian, so I'll just stop. Players, how you doing? How's life in the universe with you and things? And who are you playing in today's session?
I'm doing well, thanks. And actually, speaking of Canada, Canada made it to the World Cup for the first time in possibly my lifetime, maybe the first time in decades.
Yeah.
Not that I really follow soccer, but hey, that's pretty great.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. So there's that.
You stream all night, you role play all day.
Something like that. I was really happy that D&D happened to fall on this Tuesday, because this is a Tuesday. It's very rare that I have an opening in my schedule, let's say, at this time of day, but this Tuesday I do not have to be at work, and so I was able to be here, and so I'm always happy to join you and always so thankful that you let me join you. And so today I am playing Oceanus once again, a sea elf warrior, which is a sidekick class. And so he runs around. He's a sidekick. He speaks Aquan when needed, I guess. Also speaks Elvish, luckily. So he can communicate with most of the party. He cannot communicate with Morthwheel directly at all. And also, I noticed that he does have the ability to, from his Friend of the Sea trait, use gestures and sounds to communicate simple ideas with any beast that has an innate swimming speed. So those little eels, the sea eels, not the seals, the sea eels.
Sea eels, yes.
Apparently, Oceanus could also communicate with them, should he need to do so.
I feel this is like thieves' cant, right? Which I always had this image of being like, and somehow that means I steal your stuff at the next inn or whatever. So for here, you're just kind of like this, and that somehow means don't eat us, and yeah. just swim around like you do. Like that's basically what this is. But very excited to have Flayos with us and the whole group in chat. I'm also excited to have all of you. So without any further ado, let's get my Saltmarsh running and let's get bubbling pools running. Where's my sound at? Louder. Come on, bubbling pools. Wait a second, hold on. Okay, there we go. Yes. Wanted to make sure that we actually had some sound working with this. Okay, great. So in our last session, which was a few weeks ago, the party did the following. The party has been sent by the fine people of Saltmarsh to try to figure out what was going on, essentially, with the lizard folk. As you will know, if you have followed this campaign for a while, the party found themselves on the same slave ship that the lizard folk had been enslaved upon, apparently. But as it turns out, the lizard folk were enslaved, but also have apparently been buying arms and weaponry. And it was unclear as to why this was happening, except the people of the Council of Saltmarsh thought that it was quite likely that the reason was invasion, that the lizard folk were going to do something to attack the village of Saltmarsh. And so the party was dispatched to try to find out what was happening and to stop that plan if they could. What they discovered there was actually something a little bit different. It turns out that it was not actually the case that the lizard folk are attempting to attack Saltmarsh, but rather that the lizard folk are attempting to build up an army against the Sahuagin. Now, the Sahuagin, as many of the characters here know, are a race of creatures that have ultimately been quite self-serving and generally evil, serving evil powers, and usually have been dangerous in sort of small ways, raiding if you get too close to one of their outposts, things like that. But the Sahuagin, over the last month or so, last couple of months, have become quite aggressive, actually taking the lair of a lizard folk elsewhere along the coast, allying with other evil races in an attempt to apparently attack the civilized people. And they have alarmed the lizard folk enough that Queen Othakent, who is the queen of the lizard folk here, has essentially assembled a war council, but not just of the lizard folk, but actually has decided to bring other people on board. During the last session, we found some of those people, as I look for my Ghost of Saltmarsh images. There we are. And was able to bring a few others onto the group. We had, for example, the Leucothea, who are basically this group of often enslaved creatures, sea creatures, that have decided to hopefully work with the people, or at least were brought to try to work with the people there. There were the merfolk that have been brought as well to try to assemble with the lizard folk here. There has even been discussion of getting the Colanth, who are a very aggressive and warlike sea race themselves, to become a part of this. All so that under one unified banner, they can push back against the Sahuagin. And what the party has discovered in the process of speaking with all of these creatures is not only that they are here as part of this kind of ambassador attempt to become, to gather with each other to sort of face the common threat, but that the Sahuagin are not capable, in all likelihood, of doing this just on their own, that there is some large unifying force, and rumors are flying as to what that force might be, but it is a force that, in assembling the Sahuagin in the way that they have, threatens not only the lizard folk, not only the creatures of the sea, but also the creatures and the people of the land. It is fair to say that Saltmarsh itself, and in fact most of the coastline villages, might be threatened by whatever this is. And so it is up to the party to figure out a way that they can bring people together, not just the folk of the sea, but also the folk of the land. And so Otha Kent, along with her chief advisor, I guess you might say, Sorev, have been working to gather the lizard folk together for this common cause. But there is some trouble in paradise. First of all, not all the lizard folk agree with this. There are many historical problems that the lizard folk have had with some of these, including merfolk and others. Secondly, there is the concern that there are external forces that may attempt to work against this. And of course, there is also the matter of, convincing the people of Saltmarsh that they should also ally with the lizard folk as well. The party hasn't even gotten that far down the road. And so as we pick up the session, the party has been speaking with many of the ambassadors from some of these other groups, and is now faced with a decision that it has to make. They are trying to gather the approval of the lizard folk so that they can convince enough of them that they are worthy to be respected and trusted, that they then can go back and try to do the same thing with the people of Saltmarsh. And in so doing, they have tried to do things like, for example, test their might. In Silvo's case, by testing his face against Brine's blade, and others, for example. They have attempted to speak to many of the younger creatures, the hatchlings that have been sort of hanging out with them and enjoying, crawling up their ankles and, having them play with them and stuff like that in the process of doing this. And they have also been told that there is a great dangerous creature, a massive crocodile, somewhere in the marsh, which is called, I believe it is Old Thousand Teeth. Is it like, yeah, Thousand Teeth, who has threatened the lizard folk before, and the defeat of that creature would also increase the lizard folks' positive feelings towards the party, all in an attempt to get them enough on board that they can then take a couple of representatives of those lizard folk, go back to Saltmarsh, and convince them that they do need to ally together against the common threat of the Sahuagin and whoever is directing them. And so with that information in mind, I want to start first with Oceanus, actually. And I want to start with Oceanus back in the throne room. And let me go back over there as I find said throne room. Right here. There we are. Oh, nope. Wait a second. Right. Yeah. There we go. Oceanus, where you have been here speaking to, Sariv is not actually there. Sariv is elsewhere, but Otha Kent is there. And so I'm just going to put that right there. There we go. Lovely. So Otha Kent is there. And I want to ask Oceanus, while the rest of your party was wandering off, basically, to start going through the lizard folk lair, gather, some intelligence, also try to make nice with the lizard folk people, I'm curious as to about what you were doing during this time. And I will also warn the party that you have 17 hours of 24 remaining to finish up with the lizard folk. So if you are going to do the alligator thing or the crocodile thing, you have to think about transit, combat, and all that. So just be aware a little bit of the time. Having said that, Oceanus, what were you doing in the throne room while Otha Kent and her guards were there when the rest of them were wandering off looking through the lair, do you think?
Well, Oceanus had been sent on a mission from, I think it was the king of the Sea Elves, sent him to check out what was going on with the Sea Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
investigate if it was going to be a problem. And I mean, that was obviously very unsuccessful because he was captured and such, but ran into the party. However, they learned from the lizard folk that the Sea Elves were one of the groups of the ocean that they were aligning with. And so I'm thinking Oceanus was finding out details about this alliance and how far things have gone or what the status is at the moment.
Okay. And probably, I would say at the end of that conversation, which is you do not speak lizard folk, but there is enough sort of back and forth, and Sariv probably did part of this, where you were able to get, you know, as much of it as you possibly could across. Where at the end, the queen basically asks you to make the decision as to whether you will commit the Sea Elves, you personally, Oceanus, will commit the Sea Elves to this alliance, whether you are willing to do this. And she kind of, you know, conveys this to you through a variety of measures of, you know, sort of like figuring things out and drawing diagrams on the ground and all that, and is left over and kind of is pointing at the sea and pointing at several groups which look like various groups you might be familiar with that she's drawn in the dust here on top of the floor, and then has done the same to you, is sort of pointing to you and then pointing to this, what the big sea, whatever this creature is, sort of this big skull essentially that she's drawn in the ocean, to give you this impression.
Well, I guess I'll speak for everyone. Has there been an image of the sea elf drawn or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you get it's more that she's pointing at you and then down at that, as if it's like, what do you think? And she's very focused. It's very clear she's been trying to get this alliance going as it is.
I'm going to stop for a minute, think about it, realize I really don't have the authority to make this decision, but going to make it anyway.
Okay.
And much as she's drawn representations of the other creatures, Oceanus is going to bend down and draw with them a representation of the sea elves. And so saying, we're with you.
So she nods and she kind of stands up, again, very impressive lizard folk, and folds her arms, and she points out of the points to one of the guards, and the guard comes over and has, it's a little bit hard to see exactly what it is, and then you can see that it seems to be some kind of essentially necklace is what you can, seems to be there, of these teeth. And she nods, and the guard is apparently going to put this necklace of teeth over your head, if you'll allow it.
Yep. I'm not very tall even for an elf, but I'll bend over a bit to receive the necklace.
So when the necklace of teeth is put around you, the guard stands back, and I'd like you to make an insight check for me, please, Oceanus.
Sure. Ooh, straight 20.
When this guard stands back, and again, it's hard to tell because the lizard folk they don't have, like, you know, the sort of what you would expect, like the mammalian, you know, treatment of kind of like, of you know, humanoid-like creatures in terms of expressions. So, but you're almost certain that you hear kind of a grumble, as if the guard is not happy that it was just asked to do this by the queen.
I'll put that in my back pocket for later.
And the queen nods and then hiss and sort of points at the door, not dismissively, but it's kind of like, okay, you may leave, you know, and seek out your friends or whatever, is the impression you get.
Right. Bow with respect and take my leave and head that direction.
All right. I would say, and all of this, by the way, took some time to do because of, you know, language and all the rest of it. So I would say, Oceanus, I'm just going to move you for a second here, right about there, as you are heading down towards the water. And as you're heading down towards the water, a little bit bigger than that. There we go.
Yeah, I'm a little tiny for some
I was gonna
reason.
say, okay, as you're heading down towards the water, you can hear the sound of many different voices and languages sort of being communicated at once. And you're familiar with some of these languages, actually. They seem to be at least somewhat connected to you. You hear primordial down there being spoken. And you also hear the familiar sounds of what sounds like very dwarven, perhaps grumbling by the side of the water and other such things. As you are heading down, and as you kind of look down the hallway, you can see that your friends are speaking with a large group, apparently fairly large group, of other sea creatures that are in a pool, like a tidal pool down there.
Fantastic. All right, I'll make my way over. And in Aquan, fratres, brethren, brothers, friends, how's it going? What have I missed?
And they all said the merfolk are, and the Lokatha are all, that's in their practiced way. A few of them nod to you respectfully. The merfolk do so as well. And your companions, you see Brian in there, and you can see the rest of your companions. Silvo can explain what he looks like, and Morthwell can explain what he looks like, and Brian, I suppose. Waves, I believe the last thing I heard from you about this was that you were, quote, trying not to offend anybody. So I don't know if that's still the way you're feeling, but you can see now for yourself, and the rest of you see that Oceanus has now appeared.
So Morthwell's, he's sitting on the ground, leaning against the wall. He's got a book open on his lap, a pot of ink on the ground beside him, and he's frantically scribbling away whenever information's relayed to him, as best translated as can be by Brian. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of like doing the audible whisper every time I like have a sentence or have a reply back. So just like passing back the message. The last conversation that Brian had that I wrote down was with the fish people.
Yes.
The nomadic fish people. I forget what they're called.
The Lokatha are those ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know what? I actually wrote that down. I just couldn't read my writing.
I did something similar as well.
And you'd previously said that they were quite easily offended, which is why we made a very cautious and gracious approach.
Right.
And their response was to ask if we were friends. And we absolutely replied in the positive, yes, we are friends. And as Oceanus approaches the side of the water, I'm also going to gesture to Oceanus and say, also friends.
And the Lokatha kind of, Oceanus, by the way, that sea elves, of course, have dealt with this before, but for the benefit of the player in this case, the Lokatha are native sea creatures that have often been enslaved and attacked in their history, which has lent them to several kind of overall traits. One of them is a general suspicion of others and other cultures because of this feeling like, when's the other shoe going to drop, and when are you going to try to take us out, basically. So yes, they are quite easily offended, if mostly because they're always like hypersensitive on the lookout. And of course, you've had many dealings with the merfolk as well. If the party is going to fill in, I guess the question is, if the party is filling him in on everything, are you filling him in on who the potential allies are? And I'm sorry to make that kind of an odd question, but I guess I want to know how much you're telling Oceanus and how much not to everybody.
Just to remind me, is there a language that Oceanus can communicate in that is not necessarily it's Elvish, isn't it?
Elvish,
Yeah,
but
Elvish.
does Oceanus know Primordial though? Is that
The Aquan dialect of Primordial? Yeah.
okay? So you'd be able to communicate with Brian again in this sort of like accented, it's a little hard to get across, but you basically get it sort of way, is what I would say.
Does Brian speak Aquan?
I believe we decided she did, yes.
Yeah, we decided that Brian does have that access as a Sea Genasi.
I'm gonna give like an overview without going into too nitty-gritty as to who we feel are allies and who we feel are not, because I don't want to alienate anyone just because we don't know how they feel about it. I'm going to introduce us as friends to both the merfolk and the Locathar, and explain that these are emissaries representing their people, because the lizard folk they are trying to gather many races from land and sea to try and find out who has been attacking the settlements, both in land and sea. However, we've been invited to visit with some of the lizard folk and found ourselves in the company of our gracious friends here.
And I've take a look, Fleos. I just sent you a message in Zoom chat. Because one of the people you mentioned, so you can tell them whatever you want to, however you want to respond to that, Oceanus, as that's been all explained.
Ooh. Well, I was talking to the Queen. Forgot Oceanus had more of a softer voice. He was way too casual when he came to the room. I've been talking to the Queen, and it came upon me to choose, and I told them that the sea elves were with us, or were with the lizard folk. But I'm a little disturbed that the Koalinth are maybe part of this alliance. The sea elves and the Koalinth do not get along at all.
Now, you do not notice by the way, I should point out that the Koalinth are not here yet, but apparently are one of the groups that have been asked. But none of you see the Koalinth in here at the moment.
And then I'll turn to the merfolk, and especially the Lokatha, and say something like, "Are you all right with the Koalinth being part of this?"
And they look at each other. Even the eels underneath the Lokatha kind of like stir uneasily, and the Lokatha is, "We are not sure. It is to be. The Koalinth have no joy in our memory." And the merfolk nods. The merfolk leader nods and says, "It is hard to imagine the Koalinth allying with the other races, and we ourselves are uncertain of whether they are to be trusted, nor do we know whether they have accepted this alliance. We know only of the merfolk and the Locathar, and now you say the sea elves, but the Koalinth." And merfolk just sort of shakes his head and trails off.
I feel that maybe a small talk with Sarif about who else has been invited to join this gang. I would hate for there to be any infighting between ourselves and us take an eye off why we're actually invited here.
Silvo just sort of puts his hand
I haven't
up and
understood
goes,
any
"I
of
wouldn't."
this.
That's true.
Yeah, you just heard a bunch of
Silvo just
I
looks
was
over at
assuming-
Waves. He's like, "This is all very serious."
I figured Brian was doing the side whisper still and translating what we were all talking about.
Yes, I am still like doing the whispered translations to Morthwill as well.
Okay.
So you are up to date on everything that they've said, and also Oceanus has said.
Probably, by the way, to Morthwill and Silvo, you might have heard, both of you have probably heard of the Koalinth for different reasons. Morthwill, because you've lived in Saltmarsh for a long time, and you know that the Koalinth have engaged in raids sometimes against, fishermen that got too close, tried to build a cabin too far away from the town and so on. Silvo, because the Coelinth and the elves are not. You know enough to know about the fact that Coelinth and the elves do not get along.
Yeah, the Coelinth were like a buggy person tale growing up.
Yep.
The Coelinth could be a problem. I wouldn't put it past them to maybe they sensed a weakness, switch sides.
Yeah, maybe try to leverage this situation whilst our backs are turned. We know how self-serving they are. I can't see them working well as a crew.
It's a delicate situation. And we've got to try and sell this to the council at Saltmarsh on top of everything else.
You know the council at Saltmarsh better than I do. How do you think they would respond to this?
Well, some were calling for an attack before we even came down here. So some are going to take convincing, some won't listen. We just have to do our best.
I feel that we've got
some...
to try at least to get some support from there.
I believe we're going to need some support from here before we get to that.
Oh, I agree.
I hate politics.
Give me a ship and the open sea. I don't like the politics either.
When you're hammering nails, there's not someone telling you it's bad that you're hammering nails and someone egging you on to hammer the nail. Well, actually, there is. He's called the foreman.
Well, unless and I know that your armor will always be up to scratch, so I can't see anyone complaining too much. I'm gonna look over to Waves and Silvo and say, what are your thoughts? Should we continue to go and introduce ourselves to more people within the dungeon? We're running out of time. We know we have. I'm gonna like gracefully bow as in a friendly way as possible, and kind of climb out of the water at this point. Speak in a language. No, I want to kind of I want to go out of earshot is what I would like to do.
Okay.
Politely.
So are we sort of like gracefully leaving the room as a group?
Would you like to say any more?
No, not personally. I can't say anything anyway.
I can translate for you if you would like.
No,
speak
God
with our
forbid I
friends.
might offend someone. I've already been told these people offend easily. I'm not opening my mouth. Last time I offended someone, they tried to throw me off a boat.
Understandable. Yeah, I would obviously wait to see if Oceanus has anything more to say, but I would like to go out of earshot if possible.
Okay. You can certainly, if Brian departs the area and you all sort of, if you all make your way out, they'll sort of swim back to their various places. You might remember the Eels and the Logotha came from up here, basically. That would be up here. So yeah, you can definitely do that if you wish.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just jauntily have a little merry stroll in this general direction and avoid the lizard folk that are down there and kind of just meander up this way a little bit.
Okay.
Waves hurriedly follows you.
Oh my God, you ran away. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
I've got very long legs.
Yeah, you have. Wave
Well,
to
I
me,
don't.
look at little legs. There's enough subtle kind of let's leave the room motions that Silver's at least picked up on that from Brian. So he's just like, I have to leave now. My friends are going. Bye.
As soon as we're out of earshot, Wave suddenly makes some dolphin noises.
You've been waiting to do that, haven't you?
Which
And-
echo down the
You've been
corridor.
holding that
like-
one.
And then some of the tension seems to leave her body. Like,
That's really
Like
funny.
like a slap on the shoulder, a friendly slap on the shoulder from Silver. It's just like, you've been dying to do that, haven't you?
birds don't have a particularly expressive face, but she slightly nods, like very
Yeah.
slowly.
And I'm assuming that Brian speaks dolphin, I'm just going to turn to Waves and Shocks and look at Waves language.
It wouldn't even be physically possible. Anyway,
I'm like using hush whispers so that my voice doesn't like travel down corridors and things.
Okay.
And I'm gonna speak in a language that Oceanus can understand, and then I'm going to directly translate to Morthwell as well, so everyone can hear what I'm saying. We have a few problems. I feel that there are absolutely more allies that we need to understand have been invited into this, because I'm not overly comfortable with the Kohalinth invited to join this mission as well. They're so self-serving. I can't believe that they will be a team player to the end. I think that there'll be some infighting. However, we've got more pressing problems. We know that the lizard folk on the, what was the ship called? The Ghost.
Sea Ghost, I believe.
Ghost.
Sea Ghost.
the Sea Ghost, that
Oh.
ship that mysteriously sank under very mysterious
The
circumstances.
ship that
weird.
mysteriously
Total
sank.
mystery, yeah.
Mhm.
However, there were a couple of survivors, and as I understand it, they've arrived back here. Now, I don't think we necessarily blend as a group, so I would rather avoid them if possible. However, I feel that we have already been given potentially 3 options as to how we can win over the lizard folk. Now, seeking out those who disagree and kill them, again, I don't think that's any way to win friends in this situation. We've got the situation with the bullywogs that we were told about, that they obviously have a problem with and would very much like for us to sort out. Or we've got the creature with 1,000 teeth. Now, I know I've heard of these type of creatures. I've not faced one myself, but I feel that our options are getting more and more limited, and we're running out of time. And I don't want to be trapped down here if we're going to get turned on.
I do feel like they're willing to consider inviting the Coalinth, and if we can prove ourselves to the lizard folk, that would probably help some of the other races see our sincerity. I doubt we'll catch the Coalinth doing anything of the sort.
I doubt
No,
we'll catch
and
the
I'd
doing
rather
anything other
be-
than stabbing us in the bag.
Say that again, sorry?
I doubt we'll catch the Coalinth doing anything other than trying to stab us in the back and pick the remains.
Absolutely. My concern is that we have we've not ingratiated ourselves perhaps as well as we could, although I think we've got some allies down here. But I don't want to be trapped down here and surrounded by the lizard folk that we left high and dry, without proving ourselves in other ways. That could be quite dangerous in our situation down here.
Do you think we should ask either Othakant or Sariv directly? Or we've asked Sariv directly what we can do, and he said we could kill the massive crocodile or, chat up the locals. Have we asked Othakant directly?
I don't think we've asked him which one he would choose.
No. If we ask the Queen directly as well, is there anything we can do to help ingratiate ourselves with your people? Like to prove that we want this alliance to work? If she comes back, that shouldn't take too long. And if she comes back with exactly the same options, we can then say, well, given, you understand your people probably better than anybody, which one's going to work best for us? Not that we're going to go for the one that works best. We want to do the best thing for your people. So,
Either way, and Morthel pulls out an hourglass and goes, I forgot to set this thing, but time is going.
Yeah.
The chances of us running into the lizards from the boat increase going back to the throne room.
That we might be aware of. Who knows? Only one of them may have come back. The rest of them may have survived and scattered. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure they all survived.
And running into them would be a tricky situation.
It would, considering their boat mysteriously sank and we had absolutely nothing to do with it, and then everybody fled the ship.
And
Well,
then
we fled
Waves
the ship, it was
saved
sinking.
the life of the leader by keeping him deep in the water where he couldn't be hurt.
Yeah. We made sure he was very well. I made sure he was very, very, very far away from the ship when it sank. Just
exactly.
not quite so close to the
Just-
top of the water.
Well, that's because you breathe underwater. It's an honest mistake to make that you assume other races can also breathe underwater. You don't know which races can and can't until someone goes, "Help, I'm drowning." If they say "Help, I'm drowning" in a language you can't understand, how are you to know that they're drowning?
I mean,
Be fine.
it's a plausible argument. I'll let you make the case.
We'll be fine.
Well, the way I see it,
That door
if you
is
wanna
shut,
make 100 if you want to make 100 gold, you can sell 100 things at 1 gold each, or you can sell one thing at 100 gold. And it'd be quicker to sell the one thing at 100 gold.
Yes, but we don't know what that one thing is, right?
Well, the crocodile seemed pretty big.
The crocodile did seem pretty big.
I do still think we should double check with the Queen if we can.
Okay. Let's go and check with the Queen.
Even if it's just a, can you tell us anything else about 1,000 Teeth?
Well,
Sounds sensible.
It was Sarif that gave us the information. I mean, he seemed to be working very closely with the Queen, so
either really. They are the people to speak to. You're probably right though. If we go back to the Queen's throne room or her chambers or anything like that, she's probably got a lot more eyes on her than Sarif has. So if anyone working against the Queen and Sarif sees us, I don't know, mingling with them, or if any of those people just happen to be survivors of that freak boating accident at sea, then, you know, they may say, "Hey, I remember you from that boat that inexplicably sank. Nice to see you all made it."
I will go with the majority. We have already spoken to Silvo. These are the 3 options that he suggested. If we want clarification for that, I think we need to speak to the Queen, but I think that's a bigger risk.
I think if we can double check with someone, what would be the biggest thing to tick off the list, then that would be great. And then even if it's just a case of, cool, we'll go do this thing, can you supply us with any equipment that you just happen to have lying around? Because I don't know about you, and he just sort of pats his side. I got nothing but a fast tongue and quick reflexes, and normally that will get me out of a fight, not into one. I did not pick up any of my equipment from that boat that inexplicably sank.
I'm gonna look round to Morthwell, Waves, and Oceanus.
I make a roaring noise that might be a crocodile.
I pull out Britannia and like cock it as if it were a weapon or like guns. I'm like, ready to fight.
Well, we need to do something.
Yeah, again,
Time
Silver
to roll
just
up our
pats his
sleeves.
side. Silver just pats his side where his knife used to be. He's like, well,
I
saw
pat his
Silver Dogger.
Was it your stomach or your
Thanks.
back where the creepy tentacles came out, or both?
hey, at this point, let's not dwell on past.
I just pat both sides. I come up and go da da da. When you're looking for your knife, I show you where your real weapons are.
And and this is assuming this is all in Elvish, right?
Yeah,
I just go to our channels, and assuming I could control that would be fantastic. But at the moment, all I know is if I'm either scared or something attacks me, I suddenly go blah, 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 and nightmare fuel comes out of me. That's not going to be very helpful. So basically, all you guys see is Elvish, 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 Elvish. Blah, 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 blah. But you kind of piece together what someone's talking about from that hand motion. It's not the first time he's used it. So unless
Okay,
you
should
want
we
to give me
go
a
and
crash
speak
course in
to
magic, then
Zareth? Maybe then.
I reckon so.
I reckon it's time to roll up her sleeves and get to work.
Aye.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, the party is going to talk to Sariv, but not the Queen's throne room, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me have you.
I did actually throw Silvo my dagger there, so I'm just marking it off.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Sariv's.
I think we should
quarters-
talk to the queen. How?
How do you convey that?
Yeah, I think so.
I think you've heard Otha Kent say her name though. So you
I
could
pull
say
at Brian. I pull at Brian's sleeve, look at her, and say, "Otherkent," in the queen's voice, and then I make the crocodile noise again. I think you're muted.
Sorry, my son messaged me. I was just didn't want it typing on the mic. You feel that we should go and see the Queen?
I nod.
I look at the others.
one of the people in charge. I don't know.
Yeah,
No
got
problem.
no
I-
chance of running into those lizard folk from the mysterious sinking ship.
Maybe
Wait,
I should
I-
go first.
Wait,
I repeat
why-
something that Sorif said. Sorif said, crocodiles are sacred. And then I say again,
Unless someone
Other
else
Kent.
kills them was the gist I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to make sure with the queen, you know?
I think that's a good idea. Is that the
So-
reason you want to double check that we're okay to kill this massive crocodile?
I nod.
Okay, that sounds fine. If we have one person's, because I mean, and more hushed tones than hushed tones, basically a tiny whisper at this point. We're not 100% sure Sariv is fully with the queen. So what if we're being set up? Oh yeah, of course. Go kill this horrible crocodile. What if this is the avatar of their god? We don't know this.
By his own
waves
words, if
crashing
we kill him, he couldn't have been a god.
Waves crashing, avatar of God. Waves crashing against rocks makes a very good point here. And you know it's a good point because I use Wave's full name. So I think we should go and double check with the Queen.
Didn't the
They're-
Queen
they're-
need Sariv to translate?
That's true.
No, the Queen spoke common.
Did she?
Yeah, and broken common, worse than Sarif, but she spoke, and she even was a bit lofty about it.
There are likely many sea elves that have made their way through here. I can go first and make sure that those we met on the ship aren't here and be less recognizable. And if the coast is clear, I'll have us all come.
That sounds like a preferable idea. Us all together. I just feel that we're too recognizable.
I'm sorry, Brian. Where was this caution last week when we were having a literal pit fight?
We were doing
A few hours
demonstration,
ago.
I think you'll
A few
find.
hours ago, we were all five of us just rolling around on the floor of a gym.
But we
It's
didn't know. It was
it's only been a couple of hours. You got real cautious all of a sudden.
It was after that fight that we found out that the lizard from the ship were back.
You're a complex genasi, do you know that?
I've got a very high
Says the
intelligence.
elf that literally sprouts tentacles when
Hey,
he's
whoa,
stressed.
easy, man. Last time they found out about that, they threw me off a boat.
Yes, and how
Right?
did they find out about it? You got stressed.
Hey, it's not my fault, right? It's not my fault. I got very, very drunk, and when I'm very drunk or very incapacitated, like dead, I go to a very horrible place. Okay, that's not my fault. They gave me a bottle of something, I drank it, and the next thing I know, I'm being chased by horrible ghoulies. Let's just carry on from this. We can discuss this at another time, preferably when there's not people around us.
Understandable. We're burning time, right? If we're going to go to the Queen's chamber, let's go and get out swiftly. Oceanus, if you're happy to go lead the way.
Let's go.
Now, as a reminder, by the way, the way that Oceanus came and the way that all of you went was to bring you roughly this way through the place where there was the battle, where you had this, demonstration thing. And there were a lot of lizard folk there. You did not see the particular ones from the ship, but there were a lot of lizard folk there, and that leads directly back to this. So you can go back that way. There are theoretically other alternate routes. You did not try going down this way, for example, so you don't know if that means that that passage would go all the way around, so you'd avoid going into the room with the training room, but it's up to you in terms of how you'd like to make your way back.
I'm now suddenly feeling super nervous about that training room for some reason.
I'm not actually setting it up for you in that way. I didn't mean to do that. So no, I'm not trying to do that. But just saying that because the reason I bring it up is because you all mentioned this idea of a lot of lizard folk and wanting to avoid them. So I was like, all right, just letting you know.
Quick question:
with these unexplored routes.
Sure.
Was this Sir Reeves' quarters?
Yes, I think it was.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'll turn to the party and say, would it be best to go and ask Sir Reeve if the Queen would be available to speak to? Waves is just shaking her head.
He'll probably want to know why, being an advisor and all.
Well, we can say we've made a decision on what we're going to do to help them, and then.
But we want to question whether he's being honest with us.
Well,
and he might, if we ask him to go see the Queen, he might be there when we ask, which could be awkward.
Let's just go straight for the Queen. She invited us to have a look around. I think we need to avoid this corridor where there was a slight language barrier that almost caused an argument between.
Yeah, you'll notice Silvo is never more than 1 or 2 steps away from Waves at this point. Waves is his lifeline because Waves remembers the lizard folk word for friend, and he doesn't.
Cheese.
Cheese. Cheese. Small cheese, big cheese.
Okay, so you are going directly to the Queen through the previously used passage or previously used route?
Through the explored rooms, yes.
Okay. All right. Then I will say that when you pass through this room, you do get a few, lizard folk kind of slapping you on the back as Brian and Waves as you go through. A couple of sympathetic chuckles in the direction of Silvo. The sort of Morthwill and Oceanus, they just kind of nod. But they don't seem to pay a lot of attention to you, and you actually see maybe even a couple, maybe several fewer than there were previously in this room. Which brings you back, eventually, everyone can find their way back to here, where Othakent is waiting, looking thoughtfully down at a drawing in the dirt, which Oceanus recognizes, and then none of the rest of you do, on the ground. But it seems to be a kind of crude drawing of what maybe might be the ocean, and then several other drawings on top of the ocean with circles and arrows and things like that. It's not very clear to the rest of you, but of course Oceanus recognizes it. And when you come in, the guards, including Oceanus, the guard that put the necklace of teeth around your head and wasn't crazy about it, that are waiting here as well. And Othakent is waiting in her throne, and as you all come in, the guards kind of, sort of close ranks a little bit. And then Othakent says, yes, and they sort of step off, and she says, yes, what do you wish?
Oceanus doesn't speak common, so someone else is going to have to talk.
Well, go on then.
Oh God, I haven't moved my character. I've left you guys alone.
I was going to say, the party is split.
Sorry.
It's just fine.
Brian, where are you? Where?
I'm here. I'm in the throne room.
Come back. Okay, I'm here.
Okay. Waves, where are you?
One moment, I was preparing the T-Rex sound in the background. I'm sorry.
I like the idea that Waves is like practicing in the hallway and then looks up. Hello? Hello?
I like the idea. I like the idea that Waves
I'll
practicing
come with
is
the
just
others in just a
multiple.
minute. I come with the others in just a minute. I just wanted my T-Rex sound back. I'm sorry.
I like the idea that Waves practicing a sound is just multiple versions of an identical sound that sound perfect, and then Waves is just like, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. Raw. Yeah, okay, that's about
Yep,
right. It's the
nailed
third
it.
raw. Okay, so when you come in, including Waves, whenever Waves arrives,
Yes, I'm coming.
Oath again is there, sort of just in the throne, in the chair, looking at all of you, and has said, yes, what do you want, basically.
I'm assuming everyone's looking at me.
I don't know. It's up to.
Right.
what you
Oh,
want.
yes. Everybody's looking at you.
I could
You had the
speak, but
questions.
That never goes well.
I'm going to say, Your Majesty, and I'm going to bow graciously. Thank you so much for allowing us to have a smaller look around your home. It is incredibly well structured, and your fighters are strong. We also met the merfolk and the Lokatha as well, who very graciously informed us that they have been invited to join the group.
That is true.
My friends and I are curious as to how many other groups you have invited to join on this incredibly important mission.
I have cast a wide net, seeking those who might have common cause. So there are other groups. Why would you wish to know who they are if they ally against the Sahuagin? Actually, against the, like some lizard folk version of Sahuagin.
I always take pride in getting to know my crew before I fight alongside them. So my question is for curiosity to inform me as to who I might be allying with this time if we choose to join you in your battle.
With the merfolk, the Lokatha, the sea elves. We have also spoken to the Coelinth to see if they would lend their might to ours. So far, they have not responded.
That is unfortunate. I'm sure that they will respond to you soon. We spoke, myself and my crew spoke with you earlier about wanting to get to know the lizard folk here and to prove that we can be trusted. We met with your trusted friend Sarif, who informed us that although we're running out of time, there might be some faster ways of gaining your trust.
It is possible. You have done some good work. I have heard rumors from some that have encountered you, yet all are not convinced. Sorry, not doing broken enough. We'll become more broken in a moment.
Sorry, I've turned you down. I was just having trouble hearing you.
So
sorry, could you repeat that again?
Sure.
Sorry.
So said, you have met some people, my folk. Some approve, others still unsure. So there is more work to be done.
I can understand that. Trust cannot be built up overnight. However, we are forced into a very time sensitive bond between us. When we spoke to Sarif, he mentioned a couple of issues that yourself and the other lizard creatures might be facing, maybe outside of your home, but close by. Is this true?
There are certain threats, some danger. The marsh is always danger. What Soriv say to you?
Well, I don't want to put words in his mouth. However, he mentioned that you do have a bullywug problem.
It is true. Bullywugs danger and would enslave lizard folk if they could. They serve only themselves. No alliance there. No friendship possible.
I can understand why. You also mentioned a creature with 1,000 teeth.
And when she says this, a lot of the other guards in the room have this kind of disturbing which kind of echoes around the room, and you can detect a noticeable, how do I put this, drop in temperature, let's say, like the mood very much has changed. And the queen says, my people call 1,000 teeth the devourer. Ancient, scales and skin hard as rock, teeth sharp as swords. His dangerous, aggressive, kills people. 1,000 teeth is a threat to all in Marsh.
So you're
Doesn't
good
sound.
with it
Sorry,
dying,
second.
then? So you're good with 1,000 teeth being killed, right?
Creatures like crocodiles sacred to people, but people cannot stay to be killed. Even by the gods, I must protect them. But my soldiers will not attack. So, if kill crocodile, if 1,000 teeth die, I grateful, lizard folk grateful, that problem solved without killing ourselves.
And you would be our friend? You would trust us? We would be allies?
If you destroy 1,000 teeth and bring me head of creature, the lizard folk would be convinced. They would support me and Sariv and our friends. And kind of nods in your general direction.
That is very interesting to know. You wouldn't happen to know where the 1,000 teeth resides?
There is a pool. It is some distance through the swamp. It is some miles as you measure. I can show you, but you must be cautious. Creatures everywhere. Strange bogs and pits, pools chemicals, acids, many things in way between here and there.
Interesting. And your bullywog problem is more adjacent to where you live?
Yes, but bullywugs more numerous, more creatures to worry of. They are closer to us, yet scatter when we come like rats. Thus, the bullywugs are more, must be found. Thousand Teeth you will find when you arrive at its lair.
Interesting.
So the impression that you get, by the way, is that the bullywugs are closer, but as was said, more numerous. And the Thousand Teeth is farther away, but sort of single creature. Nothing, it doesn't, suffer fools or other rivals around it. So it's just Thousand Teeth. But it is a large crocodile and farther away.
Do we know where this pool is?
Yes, she can give you details about where the basic pool can be found. It's sort of further into the marsh. I'm sure you'll be glad to hear.
Oh, good. Is it, less than 10 hours away?
It is less than 10 hours away. From the way that it's described, it would probably take you about 7 hours or so if you were traveling at a normal pace. Now, you could pick up the pace and go faster. The risk there is that would get you there faster. Maybe you could go, if you really just booked it, you could maybe get there in 5 hours or so. The issue there is that you'd have to essentially make checks to prevent from becoming exhausted in the process of doing this, going at that pace. So essentially, mechanically, you're talking about 5 hours. If you travel quickly, you have to make a con check to avoid a level of exhaustion, or about 7.5 hours roughly if you go at the normal pace.
I turn to the Queen. So how strict is this 24-hour window? Is there a little bit of leeway at the end, say by a few hours?
And she looks at
Especially
you.
if we're going to kill this Thousand Teeth, that could take a while.
She looks at you and goes, "Yes."
Or do you have a boat to catch? I mean, I'm not sure what's going on.
The creatures here will not stay for much longer than the rising of the sun. And so time is short. The people here as well. My people may not accept what is said. I can try to slow them down.
Then, if you can try to slow them down, if we have succeeded, we will return. If we haven't, we won't.
And
So if
you
you slow them
will
down as
have
much
died
as
a warrior's death.
I mean, that's not specifically how I'd like to go. I'd like to go very old in my bed with lots of children and women around me. But beggars and choosers.
And she just
Old's overrated.
She just sort of bares her teeth in what might be a smile and something else, and what you don't know what that is with this right now.
Preferably on a mountain of gold as well, but who's counting? So, kill the crocodile, get back before this place is empty. What could possibly go wrong? Sorry, Othican. One last thing. Do you have any spare crossbows lying around, do you?
We may find a weapon like the one you mentioned.
Thank you. I sort of step back a little bit and I whisper to the party, "Well, don't ask, you don't get."
Fair enough.
I'm gonna turn to Oceanus and Waves, who can't talk directly to the Queen, and say, "Is there anything that you would like us to ask?"
I repeat in Solvo's voice the same question about the crossbow.
You have my crossbow. I gave you one a couple of sessions ago.
But it was only a hand crossbow, wasn't it?
I don't know. I crossed it off my sheet.
Wait,
I
I
think it was a light crossbow because
Yeah.
I had.
then I will not complain
I think
because
you
I had.
a hand crossbow, but that was ridiculously expensive to replace because it's like really small.
It was the other way around. Okay, then I apologize because I noted down that I want a hand crossbow. I think. Yeah, I crossed it off. I don't have it anymore.
If we're talking about crossbows, I did lose my light crossbow when I was captured on the ship. So,
Right, okay.
And
so
you got a
everyone
trident.
needs it- Everyone needs a
I could have
crossbow.
tried it, but I could use a crossbow.
So that's an order of 3 crossbows.
If I throw my trident, I have to go get it. I can.
Does anybody
I can
need
shoot from
any other thing? Any new socks? Any gloves?
I lost 500 gold.
You lost 500 gold. I lost 1,000. I mean, I lost 1,000 and several large gemstones.
Side order of French fries,
I had
like, you know, the whole
2,000 gold. This is for a debt. I had 2,000 gold, please, preferably in a light carryable item.
Right. So
Made out in cashier's checks.
Yes, just a gem would be nice.
So they
something
do
I can hand
bring-
over to my debtors.
they do bring you, perhaps somewhat to your disappointment, Silvo, a couple of rough-looking light crossbows. They are effective, although they do look like they've seen better days. And the kind of like the wood is chipped and faded in spots and so on. But they do
they're
look like
functional. They're not gonna.
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
gonna wow anyone.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's fine.
But no sign of gold or any other such thing.
Or gemstones.
Or
anything like
gemstones.
that, anything
Mulder
to-
looks at the
anything to-
crossbow. He's like, well, they're not as good as their architecture, but I guess you can't be good at everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Morthwill, this is not, this is little rough, honestly.
Yeah, they're not breaking out the good stocks for you.
Hey, this might be their good stocks. Who knows? I'll take what I can get. I say
You usually do.
This is well. Take what I can get. Take what I can touch. I just bow to the Queen. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I repeat that.
Okay, and
Echo in here.
Oathagant
Oceanus just
Oathagant nods and says, "Time is short." And then blinks at you.
Turn
Come on,
around.
vamonos, everybody, let's go.
Yeah, I turn around, look at the party, and go. So, to the crocodile pool.
Quick table talk. Logistically, how are we all for spell slots, ability recharges, and stuff? I am down 1 spell.
That's an excellent question. I'll have to look at my character sheet that I've not looked at in about 4 sessions.
By the way, while you're looking at this character sheet, I should mention as well that the Queen, before you leave, also offers you some kind of a flask. It seems to be a flask of what looks almost like swamp water, like kind of green, marshy water, and says that it will help you if you are injured.
I think I've got 2 healing potions myself.
I can think of 3 folks that would be really useful for.
Okay, I still have my 3 spells, so I'm fine there. What I'm not 100% sure of if I have used my mist summoning ability while on the way here, because I know I offered it, but I'm not sure if I did it.
I don't remember.
You know, I told the crew that I can call
no, you
fog,
didn't.
but I don't think I used it. I only offered it.
No, because we decided they could see us anyway, and there being a fog wouldn't, and it was uphill, so we just all that would happen is we'd walk through the fog.
Okay, then, well, you can still. Well, you're gonna find out. No, then I am full.
I think I'm good.
Then I'm gonna. Then I think I'm full.
I don't think I've used anything.
The Oceanus doesn't have much, but it's unused. So
I'm down.
I'm as ready as I can
1
be.
HP, but other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm solid. As solid as silver can be, anyway.
All right. So assuming you folks are solid to go, then am I understanding that you've decided to go after Thousand Teeth?
Let's kill the queen of all crocodiles.
I definitely don't think
Or,
we're down
or
enough.
king. Or king. We don't know.
Non-gender specific monarch of crocodiles. So let's kill the non-gender specific monarch of crocodiles.
The Ur crocodile.
Croc Prime. It is a good place
Alpha
to
Croc.
pause for a moment and welcome everybody in the channel to episode 351 of Pen and Pixels. I am joined by the amazing crew of D&D with GOG, Pyron J, Darksaber 2K, Peripheral Mike, Inanda, and Fleos. And we are in Ghosts of Saltmarsh as we continue to make our way through Danger at Dunwater. If you like what you see, please follow the channel. Please sub to us here in GOGCOM's Twitch channel, and please click through and check out all of our individual channels and Patreons and subsystems like that as well. Later on today, we have Fleos returning to play something. What are you playing today, Fleos? I saw that, but
Hitman Absolution, which is currently on sale, part of the IO Interactive sale.
Oh, outstanding. Hitman Absolution. So good stuff. My office is cold and I need to turn on my heater. So give me like 1 second, and when I come back, we will start our marsh journey. So talk about yourselves about marshes for a second.
I've got a sinking feeling about this.
I'll be very honest. My internal motive to go after the crocodile and not after the bullywugs is like, I'm totally not in the mood to kill another group of sentient beings currently. Let's kill the damn crocodile instead.
This is a crocodile god.
Let's do just a normal.
They say so, but
mission.
they say the crocodile is sacred. But maybe it's just a really, really big crocodile. Maybe a particularly good-looking one or something.
I call shenanigans. I don't think
What
it's
a
got that
beard.
much. I might count them from the inside.
By the way, do we have to bring some kind of proof?
Yeah, the
The
head.
What's the head?
The head was right.
How big is the head? We don't really know, right?
How are we
about
going to?
14
We know how
blocks
big the
long.
crocodile is. It says it's
Oh no!
10 to 15 scale, which
I was
is
right.
I was
5
about to say
6 foot
how are we
high.
gonna- Yeah, how
10
to
to
say
15
how,
scale long, 5 to 6 high.
2 meters.
I was about to say, how are we going to cut the
That's
head
not a
off?
big
Considering we
crocodile.
have like a rapier and cutlasses. Then I remembered, I have a carpenter's kit. Oh
Yeah,
no!
saw.
Yeah. You
Oh.
get on that, mate.
Or the whole thing
Carpenter
was
10
Oops, I'm sorry.
6 foot, or just the head was 6 feet.
I think
that
the
makes
whole
a
thing
big-
was 6 foot.
I'd written down that 10 to 15 scale long and 5
I was
to
just
6.
come back. He's like, "What on
high.
earth are we talking about?"
No, I was waiting to see how large you could make this crocodile. You're like, I think it's several houses actually wide, and
We're
the
going to need
head.
a bigger boat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
we're
head
gonna
is-
need a bigger boat.
the head is basically as big as
It
Saltmarsh.
was
So
this big.
But if it's
when
only
they
like a
say
two,
When they say crocodile, what they actually mean is Godzilla.
yeah, like that's basically. All right, well let me move you folks to.
so it's like a 2-meter crocodile.
It's a big
Yeah,
crocodile.
that doesn't seem that long.
Some Australians would not be impressed by that.
It's
It's to a lizard person, it's massive.
Maybe it's a really good-looking crocodile. Maybe it's like
15
shimmery or
scales
something.
long.
Maybe he's just really
Like a
angry. Who
Like a
knows?
shiny crocodile. It's a shiny crocodile.
It's a
Yeah.
shiny crocodile. Let
You
me-
get
let me-
attacked by an alpha. It's wild and mighty or something.
Let's
You use
see.
decapitation. It's super effective.
Right. So we shall see. Okay. All right. I am interested to see that. Okay. Let me bring all of you lovely folks over to the other map, and I will do this for chat as well. So I want to bring chat to here. Let me get my. Okay. Not that. That. Okay. Good. Now we can see things. Now we see the violence narratives. This. Okay. So right here is where you folks are starting. And actually, if people could move their characters on here just so we get a sense of it, that would be good. Down here, just by way of direction, that is Saltmarsh right here. This is where the, in quotes, haunted house was. Okay. And this is where you're basically coming from with the lizard folk lair. And according to the queen, the place where the crocodile is here. So basically in the middle of the marsh, I'm sure you're happy to hear. And there are basically two ways, roughly speaking, I shouldn't say two ways. There are multiple ways you could do it, but the more direct way, obviously, is to go straight for it from the lair. So to go essentially like that, basically, right? To go directly to it. And that's probably the fastest route. The safer route, arguably, would be to go and stay close to the river. The problem is staying close to the Dunwater River, as you can see for yourself, is a slower route, although somewhat safer. And as we've talked about, as you leave the lair, 16 hours remain in this 24-hour original time period. So
16-ish.
16-ish, yes.
It's an important ish.
That's true. So the question is, how does the party want to try to get there? And also, is the party going to try to make it at pace, running the risk of exhaustion, or try to be like, we're going to take it, regular pace, but with the risk that the slowness is going to be, the time issue is going to be there? What would the party like to do there?
What's this terrain here?
The terrain down in, let's see, down here. That's just elevation. Yeah. So this is basically like 300 feet up, 200 feet up. So that's terrain more like hills that lead from the ocean and the marsh back up towards the land beyond. But where you are is essentially flat all the way. Up here, of course, you get into the lovely drowned forest, as it's known, and I'm sure all of you would love to go there. But that's delicious. A little bit out of your way.
Sounds lovely.
But yes.
Popular tourist spot, especially with smugglers and anybody wanting to dispose of a corpse.
Absolutely. So so the river would be safer, but probably slower, and the direct route is faster but more dangerous. And you have to think about how fast you're going to do it either way in terms of what speed you want to take.
Would hugging the elevated region, the mountainous region, just at the bottom of the mountain, be a better terrain, but not, and then we'll go up there to about here and then head west. So we only have a shorter trip across the marsh.
Right. The problem with that is not faster than, probably not faster than going by the river, and it's not going to be, it is an alternate route, which you could certainly try. But if you're going to go up that route, it's probably about the same speed, if not a little bit slower, as just going directly through. Even if you're outside the marsh, once you actually cut inside to it, you're going to have more, things waiting for you when you get there. You could, however, I suppose, basically what I would say is that that's also going to be perhaps a little bit slower, but might be a little safer. I guess if I ranked them, I would say that this is the fastest and most dangerous. This is the slowest and safest. So maybe this is somewhere in the middle-ish, possibly. But the closer you get inland towards the drowned forest, you'd have to make sure you veer off well before you get to the drowned forest, because that has other problems associated with it.
Could we take a boat to the river?
You could take a boat on the river the whole way, yes. Again, slower, but yes.
But that seems to be wait, it is slower for us to go on a boat on the river than walking through the swamp?
Yes, because the river is, because it's so far out of the way. You can see for yourself that it curves way out of the way. So it takes you basically, this map is not correct, but it takes you or it's not directly oriented. South is over here. So it basically takes you south before you go back north. The second reason is that the river is not consistently deep waves. So sometimes the river is going to be much shallower, and you may have to basically port your, boat, basically move your boat over the areas that are two. That's all.
Upstream as well.
And upstream.
I want to take the boat. Because just in case somebody gets hurt, or the crocodile head is much bigger than we thought, we have to get injured people or a giant crocodile head back.
You can fit it in my backpack.
Got a bag of
That's
holding.
very true. I didn't think of that. How long can the injured people survive in your backpack, though?
I wasn't thinking about them. I was thinking about the head.
Okay.
Back on this conversation, are we? Right. How long can you keep a sentient person in a bag of holding for? Now, they only said bring the crocodile head back. They didn't say it needed to be removed from the crocodile. So what we could do is
I'll hold the bag
Catch
open.
it in the bag.
yeah.
Don't just stand in front of it with a red cloth.
Someone quickly open the throne room door. You just 1,000 teeth runs out. We'll just lock the door, put a bar against it, and we're just like, well, we've delivered, and we'll see you in Saltmarsh.
Croc bomb.
Wait for the screaming to stop, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to win us any friends.
It's not going to win us any enemies, though.
Well,
You gotta look at both sides of the argument sometimes, Brian.
Silvo is definitely not getting his own bag of holding.
Silvo is definitely cruising for an alignment change at this rate.
I was thinking the river myself. My logic was we can take the longer way out and the quicker way back.
True.
Potentially, if we feel like we're pressed for time.
Yeah.
I would rather not go into this potentially injured or exhausted from taking a longer route or rushing.
The ship is ours!
I feel that going via ship is also the best idea. How fast would the boat travel?
Your best guess is it would take about. It's going to be a little bit slower than if you sort of walked alongside the riverbank, but not appreciably much. If you're going to take the direct route, as I mentioned, it would be about probably, I think I said 8-ish hours. And if you sped it up, then we're looking at like, oh my God, typing sounds. Then we're thinking maybe like
there's somebody doing the math of like
I was like,
figuring
geez,
out
yeah.
the specific coordinates of like if we travel at this angle, at this speed, at this altitude.
If a train leaves Leeds at this
if
time,
an adventuring party leaves.
So 8 hours if you were to go at normal pace straight, probably 5.5 to 6 hours if you went at real pace, risking exhaustion. If you take the river route, you're looking more at about probably 11 hours or so, maybe 12. If you're going by the riverbank, probably 11 hours by the riverbank, 12 hours if you're actually on the river itself. Now, again, you can also try to push yourself there as well. So if you push yourself, maybe you get that down to like 9 hours or so, 8 or 9 hours with the exhaustion risk I mentioned before.
That does change things, that sort of time frame. We've only
My
got 16 hours.
You have 16 hours. So if you went, if you went up directly, right? Not directly. If you went by the river and you pushed yourself to do it and you get there at like, say, 9 hours, it gives you 7 hours left. You beat the crocodile in an hour if you do that. Then you get back. That gives you 6 hours left. You push yourself on the way back. You get back with an hour to spare. Easy peasy. Exhausted and with no other creatures there, but
Yeah.
Throwing
Okay.
back in the bag of holding.
Yep.
I'm going to turn to Oceanus and say, well, what if we took it in turns to maybe give this boat a little bit more speed? And I'm thinking of how we've previously held onto the boat and then paddled really fast, because both of us have a swimming speed of 30. Would that make the journey any faster without exhausting us if we took it in turns?
It's that without part that's going to be hard. I think especially if you're taking it in turns, even one of you paddling as fast as you can, you would definitely take exhaustion checks. Now, exhaustion checks, by the way, do not guarantee exhaustion. It's possible that you could resist it. These are basically constitution checks. But you would need to be able to do, the whole party would have to do one on the way up, and you would probably, if you're taking in turns, I would think each of you would have to do an extra con check to do that. So yes, it might shave an hour or two off the time, but you would have to take an additional check to see whether or not you remained exhausted. So there is a theoretical possibility you could end up with 2 levels of exhaustion, or there's a possibility you might end up with none, depending on how you rolled.
I worry about arriving tired.
Mm-hmm.
If after we kill the beast, sure, but before it sounds dangerous, and I don't know if we can take it unless we're full strength.
I agree. I think I don't want to take my eye off any of those 1,000 teeth.
I still don't think it's got 1,000 teeth.
We can, when we remove his head, we can count them on the way
I'm
back.
going to count them. I'm 100% going to count them.
Okay, so what route then?
I think river.
River there, and then we can try and get back ASAP.
We'll see
The
how
ship is
long.
ours.
Okay.
We'll see how what the time is like.
Are you all pushing yourselves in an attempt to get there faster?
No, we don't want to
No.
get there exhausted.
Okay.
I
So
mean, not to use a bit of a tired analogy, but Silver's like, well, if I take one more step, this is the furthest from home I've ever been. So, I mean, I don't really know how these trips sort of work, so I'm just going to follow what somebody else suggests at this point.
okay. All right. Well, then it looks like we're going on the river then. The passage, and you're going in the boat. I'm sorry, to confirm, right? You're doing a boat? Okay. So as you take the boat up, the marsh becomes somewhat darker and more. Let me just increase the sound of that. The marsh becomes darker and more dense as you go into it. The reeds rise higher on either side. And as the hours pass, you begin to know the true meaning of the term mosquito infested. There are many, many insects and biting creatures that seem to get below even those of you with armor and weapons. Waves, you find yourself like flailing at these various creatures that seem to be big fans of bird. Or something like that. And so numerous stinging flies and insects, sometimes clouds of them as you go along. In addition, the air grows more fetid and warmer as you go in. So you find yourselves, heated and in some cases sweating, depending on the species we're talking about, as you make your way in. One of the things, Brian and Oceanus, you both notice is that the water of the river itself is quite brackish, which is not surprising. This is a salt marsh. But not only is it brackish, but it also is almost turgid at times. It's like, you're kind of swimming through what feels like almost mud at times, and the boat itself kind of drags along as you go through this. After about, I would say, 4 to 5 hours of this, as you've just been sort of pushing ahead and trying to, make your way up, you probably would be about, let's see, I guess that would put you about here, I would say, on the map. Sorry, chat. This thing refuses to reveal itself. There we go. Sort of like that. And as you are all making your way up, in fact, I'll move your boat up here for reference. As you're making your way up, I would like all of you to make perception checks for me, please. Got a 21, we got a 20, got a 14. Horses are more dangerous than hornets, fair enough. We have got a 12 from Silvo. And Waves with a 23. Okay. Morthwill, Oceanus, and Waves, I think you would all hear this. In the distance, not far off the riverbank itself, probably about, I don't know, maybe here-ish, let's say, close to the boat. You hear what sounds like a splashing and a crunching sound. And so you hear like a psh, and then a and then you hear like it sounds like a deep kind of guttural voice and then a crunching sound.
But it does sound slightly content, like somebody having a good meal.
Could be.
Is it
sounds a bit
nighttime?
vocal.
It is not
I-
nighttime yet. It is heading towards that direction, though. Probably maybe an hour before dusk, you would guess, Brian?
I point along the river and repeat what I've just heard and look at the others to make sure they've also heard it.
Now
I
the
don't
those
think
of you who
that's
have done it.
Thousand Teeth.
There's a distinct moment where everybody is looking at something else in the distance, and Silver's just sort of like, "Oh, I've not seen something."
I look at Silver and repeat the crunch and sound.
Does the I guess language sound familiar at all, or is it not like anyone we've encountered yet?
What languages do you speak?
Personally, just Aquan and Elvish. I was just wondering if it was lizard folk sounding or something.
It does not
else.
sound like lizard folk, but it also does not sound like common.
Does it sound
Probably
like
not
crocodile?
dwarvish.
Yes, it sounds like Crockett. No,
Does it sound dwarvish?
it does not sound dwarvish.
I can understand deep speech, though I don't know why. Is that helpful?
Well, that's exactly what.
Excellent. Good.
No,
Run.
yeah, exactly. What I guess I hate to do this, but what languages do everyone speak? Does everyone speak here?
Common and dwarvish.
Common and dwarvish.
Elvish, common, and deep speech.
Common and Orin.
Common and Orin. Okay.
I am yeah, common, primordial, and we said aqua as well.
So then my response to that would be you do not. There is you occasionally actually think you might hear a word that sort of sounds familiar, but it sounds like gibberish. So you hear like and then every so often goblin swamp. So like every 100th word, you think you pick up a word in common. Maybe the rest of it is all mixed languages that you do not recognize at all.
Are we in the boat right now?
At the moment, yes, on the river in the boat.
So we're all in the boat on the river.
Right.
And how wide is the river?
The River Dunwater is probably a good, in spots 50 to 60 feet wide.
Okay, so it's unlikely that something's going to come running out of the underbrush towards the ship and make it to us without drowning.
That I cannot answer. Who knows?
This is the assumption that this thing is normal humanoid size. It's like if I fell in the water, I'd sink rather than just stand in it, right?
That is
Pretty
correct,
deep.
although you don't know how far down the bottom is because, as I mentioned, it's very variable. So
Yeah.
you could land on like a hillock 5 feet underneath,
Yeah, that's fair enough. So we just keep quiet and keep paddling. What are we doing?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Stealth paddle,
sounds-
essentially. So you
Yeah,
all know
pretty
what I'm
much,
going to
like-
ask for. It's your favorite and mine too, the group stealth check. I would like
Wow.
every one of you, please, to make a stealth check for me. And what we're looking for here is a majority of you passing.
Do I get any
my
bonus for having
lord.
water vehicle proficiency?
I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Oh, Silvo.
Let's
I'll roll my
see.
stealth. I'll still roll my stealth.
Silva with a 10. Oceanus with a 2.
Silvo.
Nana with a 13. Waves with a 16. Morthwhale is at a 14 that we're looking at right here? Oh, because you have
A nat
healthy.
one.
Yeah,
I'm at disadvantage.
because
Two
of
natural
disadvantage because
ones.
you have heavy armor. So as I understand this, we have, let's see, 2 natural ones, and we have Silva with a 10. All right, Morthwell, let's talk about your boat proficiency. I'll accept that as a possibility, but you need to tell me what you're doing and using it. Like, how are you managing that?
Let's have a think. Rather than rowing, I'd like to try and punt using the oars, so there's less splashing. So I'm trying to push us along rather than row us along.
So I will, in that case, give you a +3 to your roll, which unfortunately
Yeah.
is not that. So we have a 5, we have 2, and then we have 10. So Waves, you're just very silent bird. And that's great. Brian, you make a few little noises, but probably Brian, I imagine you'd be like, oh, they're all, boy, I'm really kind of making a mistake. And then because behind you hear sort of Oceanus kind of literally rocking the boat, I think is fair to say. And Morthwill, I don't know if you're just sort of like, all right, let me get the, like sort of punting the
It's
thing.
probably just like my shoulder pads on the armor every time it's like clang.
Yeah, exactly.
Clang.
Like with the punt, you keep hitting it like clang, clang, right? So you hear the stop. And then, and then you hear this tremendous like movement in the underbrush some distance, and you hear.
Think it works.
And you hear these
clang, 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 clang.
You hear these you hear these steps approaching.
Yeah, row faster.
Can I
Stealth assailers, row faster.
can I do the shape water cantrip and try and create some kind of tidal wave to push the boat forward?
I don't think shape water is going to be strong enough to do that. It's shape water is very valuable. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think you're going to be able to do anything that pushes the boat that much faster. Now I will accept other theories about how to. I mean, like if you want to try to just race as fast as possible, hide somehow. I mean, like I'll accept other ways to think about it, but I don't think shape water is going to do what you want it to do here.
I'll also pedal faster.
Okay.
Faster.
I'm rowing, but I'm also looking over Oceanus and Brian. I'm like, well,
I mean, we don't have to worry about sneaks rowing anymore, so there is that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've done it before. I mean, together you could both push the boat, and we could move exceptionally faster.
It's up to you.
I'm saying
If
this
you-
both in common and also in Elvish, so that Oceanus understands.
I just row faster because we don't know what's coming. Maybe it's just a particularly loud goblin or something. We don't know.
Or a thousand teeth that's just gonna grab mine and Oceanus's ankles and
Yeah, that would be bad.
It was confirmed it definitely wasn't crocodile. That language was not crocodile.
It could be a very eloquent crocodile. We haven't
It could
asked.
be. It could be, yeah. It is a crocodile god, so you know.
Okay.
I mean, anytime, I'm just rowing away, anytime you water-breathing companions, could, whenever...
All right, I jump in and start paddling
I'll
fast.
follow her lead.
Okay.
hate to put pressure on this.
So,
My legs are going. I'm holding on.
okay. I hope someone's getting a clip. As you are sort of racing your way down there, something comes stumbling out of the brush, and I actually will show everybody on stream exactly what that is.
As we just start the motor.
Why doesn't this start?
Put the elf into water. We need to go.
Okay. What you see coming out of the tree line right next, or the marsh line, I guess I should say, holding a couple of what look like crushed crabs in its hands, and one claw sort of hanging out of its mouth, is that. A large, brutish, green-skinned creature, and it sort of comes, lopes to the bank, and and it says this in like little bits of like shell are falling out of its mouth.
Enjoy the crab.
I shout back at it.
So you shout back at it. So it
Yes, I repeat what it said before.
and so it looks at you. It goes, "Roar!" Like apparently gets really angry and throws a crab at you. So
Okay.
I'm going to see.
That's fine. I can live with that.
I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please. This thing comes whizzing at your head, Waves.
One moment.
How big is it?
I don't know what you
It's
said,
about-
but don't say it again.
It's about 9 feet tall.
21.
It's
This is
definitely
my
not a
crab.
crocodile,
I
by
catch-
the way. 21. Okay, so you just dodge as like this crab goes flying over your head, and the troll and dives into the water, and this green sort of hands begin to swim towards you.
How quickly?
How fast is it?
Now the good news is it's not super fast. The bad news is it doesn't seem to be affected by the obstacles the way you are. So you have a couple of choices here. You can either turn and face it, or I know you've all been rowing frantically and Oceanus is in the water and doing whatever. Brian and Oceanus, if you want to push yourselves, you might be able to outrun it depending on how long it wants to keep up this chase, but you are going to be risking exhausting yourselves to do it.
I throw a ration in its general direction.
Okay.
Just lob a packet of food at
Make a
it.
dexterity check for me.
Is this
Wait, and actually hold on,
explosive
Morthwheel.
Russian?
You can't do this while you're rowing unless you're just going to I mean, you can punt and like sort of with one hand. This is what I'll say. You can chuck it, but it's going to be a disadvantage if you're also still punting.
That's fair. I mean, this is just a lobbing it. This isn't like an attempt at a precision headshot.
Right. No, I
or
just wondered
anything.
how close to it it's going to land was my question.
Yeah. Well, I'll do it at disadvantage.
Okay.
Well,
It's very disadvantaged.
Oceanus
Waves
opens
is
his mouth
now
and grabs
wearing a
it.
ration.
Oceanus gets a ration in the eye.
I think it's when Waves ducks the crab and then gets a ration to the back.
Yeah.
Of her head.
So basically, you just throw right. She ducks, then you throw it directly into the back of her head. So you feel yourself hit in the back of the head by something. Waves. You look down to see like a packet of food half opened.
I'm completely confused by all of this and just paddle faster because I don't know what's going on with all the flying food things.
Brian and Oceanus, what do you think?
I'm pedal to the metal. I'm going as fast as my little legs will take me.
All right. Well, I'm not going to make it go crooked or anything, so I try and match speed.
Okay. I would like both of you, please, to make Constitution checks for me.
Boy, here we go.
Just a straight contact.
Not a saving throw.
Straight con check, not a saving throw. No. Actually, wait. Let me think about that. No, con check.
Uh-oh.
Con check.
Can it not be a saving throw?
Yeah, no, it's a con check, not a saving throw. Remember, chat, you can always inspire people if you so wish. Just saying.
We could maybe do a retcon and inspiration on Ananda so that she could roll that dice again.
Well, I will actually, I don't normally ex post facto, but I will allow that in this particular case if chat wants to, if the chat has an inspiration available to it. In the meantime, Oceanus, I'll come back to that in a minute. What have they done to deserve this? Well, it's a long story. I'd invite you to watch the rest of the campaign.
We done to
and you'll see, because there's a whole bunch of things.
Diplomacy brought us to this point.
Going once, going twice. Okay. So Oceanus, I think it's okay. Yeah, not on this channel, Effect Life, unfortunately. So, Oceanus, I think you were able to do this, and I think as you look over, you can see that Brian is kind of struggling a little bit. Brian, you are, of course, a water genasi, but this, as I've mentioned, is not, your standard, like you're used to the open ocean, not swamp rivers, basically. And so you're just like, pushing your way up. I would say, let me make a check for the guy following you. Let's see whether he is going to catch up or not. He is... So, it looks like you really, really push yourself, Brian. You feel you're like just the weariness creeping through you, but you do not give up. And as you round a bend, you can see that the creature is falling farther back and finally just stops and kind of with its head just bobbing above the water. And his angry roar echoes through the marsh, but it looks like you have escaped it. That's the good news. The not good news is that Brian is going to take a level of exhaustion. Oceanus, you seem to have avoided this, but Brian, you are going to take a level of exhaustion. Now, in case you're curious as to the power of a level of exhaustion. Yeah, exactly. But at what cost? Exhaustion works basically in it sort of builds on itself. One level of exhaustion means that you get disadvantage on ability checks. So not saving throws, not attacks, but ability checks. So if I asked you to make that con check again, you get disadvantage on it. And that exhaustion is going to happen until you either A, finish a long rest, or B, have some other method, magical or otherwise, of being able to remove that effect. But otherwise, you do escape from whatever the heck that creature was. Okay. Let me just mark down 1 level of exhaustion. Okay. If you were playing Adventure to Middle-earth with me, exhaustion happens all the time because it's all about trips and journeys and things like that. Okay. So the next portion of the journey seems to pass relatively uneventfully. And as night falls and you continue to make your way through the nighttime, you find yourself coming fairly close, probably within an hour or so, to the place where you were supposed to go. Basically, right near where the pool was going to be. Now, there's a certain part where you have to stop and get off the river and walk inland a little bit, probably a half hour or so from the river, to be able to get to where supposedly Thousand Teeth's pool is. So when you get to that point, I guess I just want to confirm, do you want to do that? Are you taking the river as far as you possibly can, or do you get off at any point and go the rest of the way? It's up to you.
I'm over the edge of the boat, just like. So I'm up for staying in the boat as long as possible.
Rest of you?
Yeah, I think that
sounds reasonable.
That sounds sound. Yeah. Stay in the boat for as long as we need to.
Okay. So you arrive at the spot where you have to get out, basically to deal with this. With about, the trip took you about 9 hours. So you have about 7 hours now which remain as you get out of the boat and you make your way towards where the pool is, supposedly. Now, how are you approaching this pool? You obviously can't see it from here. You're just based on what the Queen's sort of crude description and map was going to tell you. So how are you attempting to approach the pool?
Do any of us not have night vision?
I don't have night vision.
Okay.
I don't have night vision.
So are we using artificial light, or are they just going to be trusting on those who can see?
If we're going to be stealthy, I don't think we can go in there with torches.
I have a lantern.
I mean, I have a lantern too, but I think we'll be advertising our presence if we use them.
Yeah, it's up to you how you folks want to approach it. Obviously,
Yeah, but I still would like to see.
a lantern disrupts night vision, obviously, but that means that everybody gets to see, but it does, give off a light.
Yeah, I mean, if a crocodile wants to eat me, I would like to see it.
Yeah, I'd rather everyone see than.
Stealth didn't work so well last time
Otherwise,
anyway.
otherwise, how are we going to count the teeth?
That's true.
That's true.
I'm going to count them on the way back. It's fine. That's how confident I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should try to find like a place
it a
where we can
hooded
get out
lantern?
of the boat and have a little bit of space to fight.
Okay. So yeah, you can do that. You can get out of the boat. And in fact, you have to walk away from the river to get to where the pool allegedly is. Again, maybe 20-25 minutes from the river.
Okay, I have a hooded lantern and I will light the way. But we should still try to be quiet.
Okay.
Quick admin question. Sorry, the crossbow that was given to me, is that a heavy crossbow or a light crossbow?
Light crossbow. The ones that you were given were light crossbows.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't need to change any of my macros. Thank you.
And we've got about 20 quarrels or so, or
Roughly speaking, there's about, I think they gave you about 10 quarrels per crossbow. Is what you had to work with.
Okay, so I can add 10 to what I already had in my backpack.
That's sure.
Nice.
Again, not great. I mean, they're functional, but these are not going to win, quarrels of the year, anytime soon.
No.
Roughly fashion.
Every time I fire one, Morth will tuts.
It's like, it's just you hate to see
I
it.
can hear it on the wind.
They haven't waxed the bowstrings or anything.
It sounds like strangling a cat.
So you make your way then with the hooded lantern. I assume you're not trying to be super loud as you do this, though.
I try to be really stealthy.
So, yeah, let me have everybody make a stealth check for me, please.
I'm not trying to be stealthy. I'm just trying to.
Oh, okay. Well, let's make whoever
will.
wants to be stealthy can be, I guess, basically.
I will try to be stealthy.
I'm going to be stealthy, but I've got my crossbow out as well.
Okay, so go ahead, Brian. Remember, you're doing this at disadvantage because you have...
Yeah, I've got it's 4.
That seems appropriate because you're like, okay, so we've got, let's see, Silvo with the 20, Oceanus with the 10, Waves with the 11, and who did I miss? And then we've got Brian with the 4. So, yeah, you all kind of squelch along a little bit. You're certainly not screaming, but... the ground slopes downward, and after a few minutes, as night now has settled completely, there is barely the faintest, like half sort of quarter moon up in the sky. So there's like very, very little light other than your hooded lantern. It slopes downward into what looks like a tangle of marsh trees and a blanket of mist that your lantern just sort of barely pierces waves. And squishing your way into the shallow valley, you arrive at a large pool of brackish water. The pool is about 60 feet in diameter, and it's shaded by a canopy of vines and twisting branches. And there is a gurgling stream at its northern edge, which obviously feeds the pool. You can also see reflecting off of the lantern light, reflecting off of it, a few yellowed bones visible in the shallows. And in the center of the pool is a great muddy mound.
Morthwill's rummaging in his pack. And just as a bit of flavor rec on it, doesn't affect anything mechanically, but those 3 cubes that I had, they're now 1 cube with several buttons on it. It makes things a bit more convenient for me.
Love it.
Yep. So he reaches in, he pulls out one of the cubes, he pushes a couple of buttons on it. And if you imagine like Michael Bay Transformers, but not on that big of a scale, but very, very small, this little cube starts unfolding, and you swear bits that shouldn't have fit in there start to unfold. And it essentially unfolds into a small clockwork tortoise, which he stows his shield and picks up under one arm.
What on earth just happened?
I call this the shield toad.
The shield toad. What? I mean, I'm what?
Watch. And he pushes another button on it, and it makes a noise like, those of you who played Command & Conquer Red Alert, imagine like a Tesla coil charging, not firing, just charging. So and it goes very, very quietly, but like you feel like a doom. And you all feel healthier, a little bit stronger, like you could take an extra punch or two, because you have all just gained, where was it? 1d8 plus 3 temp hit points.
Ooh. Good
1d8
stuff.
plus 3. Oh my
Yes.
Go ahead
And
and
I can
roll
fire
that
this-
1d8 plus 3
Yeah.
so we can find out how much.
I don't know if it doesn't specify if it's everyone rolls themselves, but I'll roll 1d8.
No, I'm going to say it's you. You're the one doing the
Yep.
effect.
Yeah, no problem.
Or your shield
damn.
toad is, I beg your pardon.
Yes, my
Shield
shield
toad.
toad. Hang
I
on,
love
I've lost. One.
All right, chat. Shield toad needs a name.
Now I can fire this off every round as well, but temp HP don't stack.
Okay,
But
I
if
was going to say,
roll
I was like, wait,
yes, no. But I can replace if I roll higher than their current temp hit HP pool, they can replace it with the higher value.
what? Okay. How long does it last? Does it last? I mean, overall,
Well,
how long does it last?
The shield toad itself will now last for an hour.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so 10 temp HP for everybody, because I assume we're all huddled closely together. It's within 10 feet, but
I am now.
it's within. Yes.
I'm practically leaning on you at this point.
Yeah, where are you, by the way, other than leaning, huddled together?
I've tried to stay in the middle of the group for precisely this purpose.
Like where?
I
Where are you relative to what I just described, though?
I'm not approaching the edge of the lake, but I
Okay.
really want to look around carefully just in case, like maybe there are other people worshipping the giant crocodile and I want to find like a slightly flat space for us to engage it properly. So I'll like to look around carefully for movement, for flat spaces and all of that.
Okay, so that's where you're going to be. What about Brian, Morthwheel, Silvo, Oceanus?
So I'm stood next to Morthwheel, close enough that I saw exactly that the shield toad unfold and discharge. So wherever Morthwheel might be, I'm next to Morthwheel.
Okay.
Remember, I
Morthwheel,
am
where are you
Saltmarsh.
then? I guess is my question.
Well, about 5 feet back from the people at the front.
Okay. I get where are the people at the front?
Waves.
I keep
Waves
hearing a
in
lot
front.
of I'm next
I
to
am
this
the
person.
people at the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am the people at the
You're
front.
the people at the front. Okay.
I'm also the people at the front.
I'll be rear guard,
Okay.
just in case, so it doesn't sneak up.
Okay. All right.
Think of the red dwarf when they're trying to all stay in the middle.
That's right. Okay. So all right. So you have that. You have that now. That ability. That temp hit points added. To you.
So we've got the big pool, basically.
Right, with this mound in the middle and
This
a
big-
gurgling stream that feeds the pool at the northern end, and these yellowish bones in the shallows of the pool.
So around the edge of what I'm trying to say is there anywhere for any other creatures to hide around this pool? Because
Well, I mean, it's got a canopy of these vines and twisting branches from the trees above it, that literally almost cover it over like a roof. So there's that. By the pool itself, there's not a lot of bushes and things like that, but there's all the kind of vine and leaf and sort of tree cover right over the pool.
Can I have a look in the trees and the vines to see if there's anything like bats or anything like that hiding in there?
Yes. But I need to. If you're going to do that, you need to get a little bit closer to where they are, because you're basically right at the edge of this area where, if you went another 20 feet, you'd be next to the edge of the pool, and then you'd have the canopy above you and all that stuff. So you're not going to be able to see too much from here unless you move up and closer to the edge of the pool.
Then I'll wait. I'm not going to move up. I'm not going to move away from the group.
Okay.
What I will say is I'll whisper to the group when we get closer to the pool. I want to check out that canopy, those trees and vines, just to make sure there's nothing hiding in there.
I nod and I shine my lantern slightly up and try to get a look.
Make a perception check for me, please, Waves.
Mm-hmm. It's a 9.
I mean, it's hard to see because the lantern light doesn't go that far. It's not like a flashlight, right? Like a modern flashlight would be. It looks as if it's just a bunch of kind of green and brownish vines. There are a lot of them kind of all twisted together and over the canopy, or like making the canopy that's over the pool. It's probably about maybe 25, 30 feet up, you would guess. But it's hard to see anything in particular.
And I'm not really swamp savvy. So, yeah. I'll shine up. I look at the others. I shrug. And I'm trying to look for more, like I said, like a flat space. And then we can try to attract the sacred crocodile.
There's probably a couple. Make a nature check for me, please, Waves. That might help you to be able to find this.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I'll try. It's a swamp.
Yep.
It's mainly wet nature around here.
The thing is, you do see a couple of areas that are flat areas potentially. The flat areas, though, are closer to the pool because this whole thing slopes down, and then you've got the flat areas that are like right next to the pool on either side.
Okay. I turn back to the others and point towards the flat areas and make like a movement to see what they think about it. Okay. I point to my rapier, and I point down to the flat area. I point to the crossbow, and I point to the, like I said, you're sloping down, so like to the upper edge
Right.
of the flat area, and then I'll look at everybody expectantly.
I'm gonna stay slightly further away from the people that are going towards the flat area, and closer to the water, because if I'm potentially going to make myself a distraction, but I don't know yet. So I don't want to get too close to the others. So I'm going to stay away from the flat area, but acknowledge waves.
So is my dark vision currently disrupted because of the hooded
Because
lantern?
of the hooded lantern, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has Silver taken out his crossbow?
Yes, Silver has taken out his crossbow.
Okay.
In response to you tapping your rapier.
Okay, I point to like the upper edge of the flat area. And then I point to myself, and I point to like the flat area towards the pool, not river.
So you're
pool.
pointing. Are you pointing to me at any point in that?
I'm pointing to you, and the upper edge of that flat area. I'm pointing to myself, and the flat area that is closer to the pool.
Just a silent thumbs up from Silver.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. Communication.
Okay.
Okay.
Brian's got her crossbow out as well, rather than the scimitars.
Okay. Oceanus, I know you said you're on rear guard, but are you kind of like closing ranks with them, or like where are you positioning yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna unsheath the crossbow as well and go where Silvo is going.
Okay.
Which I assume means this is where the crossbow people go.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And Morthwill?
I draw my carpenter's mallet and stand with the crossbow people.
Okay. So we have 3 people
I give
at the
you
top
your
of the
I give
crossbow people.
I give you your light crossbow.
No. you see a glow of a flame on the end of my mallet.
I back away.
Seen that look in the bag before. He's got a plan.
Okay.
So that means Brian and Waves are sort of on the flat area then, if I'm getting this right, or is Brian also in the upper edge?
I think I'm like the front and Waves Brian behind me, and so I'll move towards the flat
Kind of
area.
to the side, so
the
that
side,
again I
okay.
can be a distraction if necessary. So we're not like depending how big it is, they can possibly take us in one fell swoop. So I just want to be slightly to the side.
Chad, I love this visual. There's these 3 characters right up top waiting with their crossbows, except for Morthwill, who's got his mallet with the flame. And then here's Brian off to the side watching as Waves kind of stealthily creeps forward, lantern and rapier ready, basically, as I'm understanding this.
No, I'm putting the lantern down actually where the crossbow people are and take up my shield. It's because I don't want to carry the only light I have when I get like dragged into the water or something.
Who has dark vision? Show of hands, real quick.
3 people.
I extinguished the lantern. Okay.
No, I love that. I love that. So you extinguish the lantern as Waves. So Waves, you like get right close to the edge. All of a sudden, like
don't leave
darkness.
that near us. Like that impedes our vision.
We just close the hood. We don't.
Nobody
turn off the
told me.
Well, Waves is in complete darkness for a minute. Not complete darkness.
So when
but...
when Waves puts the lantern on the floor next to the 3 people who can see in the dark, I just pick it back up. No. We don't use that here.
Okay, so Waves, you sort of creep your way up then, and you peer into the darkness. Again, it's slightly luminous because of the the quarter moon above. Then you hear and suddenly you feel 2 large vines fall on top of you. Or are they vines? Because what you actually think you're dealing with are large, twisting snakes. Is that time for initiative, people? Time for initiative.
The second you started describing that canopy, I knew there was something fishy about that. I was like, I need to keep an eye on this.
Let's see.
Man, I've been playing D&D with you too long.
It's true. You know all the tricks.
Oh, I
Morthil's
forgot
too
to
busy
put it in
scanning
turn
the
tracker
water.
again.
Our tokens aren't on the
I'll
map.
never
I don't
learn
think.
it.
Oh yeah, our tokens aren't on the map.
Yeah, that's the
Oh, I
reason I
beg your
couldn't
pardon.
send it. Okay.
Okay,
And I put
hang
mine
a
on the
second
map,
then.
but it's getting mad at me anyway. So
I don't know where my token is. I can't see it on the map.
I don't mind re-rolling initiative, so no problem there.
No, we should keep that initiative, I think. Just give me a second though. Oh, that's why it's so quiet. All right, I was like, why is it so quiet? Now I
But
understand.
now it's really loud.
Okay, it's too loud. Sorry, I'll turn it down. But I couldn't hear it at all because I had my browser down. I'm like, what the flip? Okay, there we go. Now it all makes sense. Now we see the violence inherent in the system. Okay, so let me get all of you from, where were we? The lizard folk lair. I will just bring all of you folks over as soon as I can find the area that's not actually covered over. Okay, there we go. Oh, look at you all are gathered right here.
Yay.
Copy. And Saltmarsh environs. And oh. This is interesting. Your turn order seems to be on here for some reason. Now, I don't know why. But there you all are.
Ace.
So do I see I see a 14 for Brine. Is this right, or is that from last time? That might be from last time, maybe.
Mine's 12.
Okay, so I will fix that. 12. Morthwill's a 6.
Yep, I was looking at the water, not the trees.
Waves with a 10.
Whoa.
And Silvo with a
Cannot
14. And
Did not
Oceanus,
realize I moved this.
I need one from you too, Oceanus.
oh, okay. I rolled it. It said
Oh, 9,
9.
I
but
see.
Oh, hold on, Mike.
Hold on, I got it.
Hold. Oh, thank you.
Okay, add turn.
Now, which one's alt on Mac?
Okay.
That's a good point. Your Mac-friendly equivalent.
There we go. It's option, just so you know, which is
There
a
we
dumb
go.
name for a key.
Okay. Silvo with a 14. Brine with
Does it have an any key though?
12.
No, I have control, option, command, and
Waves with a
squiggle.
10.
well, where's the any key?
I'm not kidding. If I can take this keycap off while he's sorting initiative out, I'll show you.
Okay, and 6.
There we go.
There we go.
Smoking. I don't know if you can see that. Just like a. Wow, that's really hard to see on camera. Jesus. It's just like
What is that? A key for
4.
ants?
Yeah. Now when I press this down, I need to see if it actually stops anything from working. No, it doesn't. Fantastic. That's the first time that's ever happened.
So that's a I
Thanks,
didn't
Apple.
think this through moment.
Yeah, I didn't think this way through.
Okay, and then okay, they are incidentally going to get one. These creatures are going to get one surprise attack against you, Waves, insofar
Waves.
as they have fallen on top of you.
Yes, of course.
Let's see.
Who had the potion? I just out of as a point
That's
of
an
order.
excellent.
Oh,
that's
I
an
did not
excellent
ask.
question.
I should have asked who had it. I will
I
allow
don't have
whoever-
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will have.
I did not take it.
I already have 2 healing potions, so I probably wouldn't have offered to take it.
I assumed one of the grown-ups took it.
Yeah.
Last time,
Who
let's
has
be
come out of every fight the healthiest definitely didn't take it.
let's be honest. Last time a lizard person handed me a flask, it ended real bad on that ship. Alright, so I did not take it.
Okay. Let's see. So, I think that has us set properly then. Okay. So, they are going to try to get attacks on you. Oh my god. All right, well, one of them has got an 18.
Yeah, no. I've
That-
got 19.
19. The other one, though, critically hits you. The problem is it's a critical. It's a particular kind of critical. This thing, as it lands on top of you, winds its way around your wings and body and squeezes. You are going to take 20 points of bludgeoning damage. Now you have 10 temp. You have 10 temp, so that means that you're actually only taking 10 points of actual damage to your hit points. Okay, and you are currently grappled, which means you're restrained, and so you can take actions that don't involve movement, but you can't move anywhere. And I believe, although I have to double check this, the creatures that you don't have sorry, my turn order is giving me grief. Why is it doing that? Okay, never mind. I don't understand why it's doing that. Never mind. So it means that you are going to be easier to hit, basically, going forward.
Does no movement mean no attacks from me? Or does it just mean no running away?
I think it means no running away, but it's restrained.
Okay.
And restrained is not quite the same thing as incapacitated. So you being restrained means that you are, and I quote, your speed is 0. Attack rolls against you have advantage. Your attack rolls have disadvantage, but you can still attack. And you have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, which is not surprising since you are wrapped. You can also try to escape it on your turn if you wish.
One turn is how many seconds?
It is 6 seconds basically per round. So you have...
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so with that said, Silvo, that was the attack of these creatures. Silvo, you are up first. You have just seen some vines land on your paladin and now have compressed and maybe waves. I don't know what sound waves makes. I suppose there's a imitation
like a
of
strangled chicken.
Yeah.
I don't want to know how you learned the sound of a strangled chicken, but regardless, I'm going to fire now. No, screw it. I'm going to fire at the one that's constricting waves.
Okay. For some reason it's only giving that one, which is weird. Okay. All right. Go ahead and make your attack then.
14.
14 will hit.
7 points of piercing damage.
All right. So you strike it and kind of hisses angrily.
It's like, oh man, it feels good to have a crossbow again.
It hisses angrily. It's funny too because I was thinking about having it be a situation where you might also hit Waves, who is constricted by this creature, but it's so big that you actually don't have that much trouble kind of hitting it. These are giant snakes.
Cool.
Okay, so you do in fact hit it. Where do you want to move to, Silvo, if anywhere?
I think I'm okay where I am.
Okay. In that case, Brian, you are going to be up next.
I can't see anyone apart from Oceanus on the turn order.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know why it's doing that. I marked the turn order on my side, and it's showing properly on my end, and I don't know why it's not showing on your
That's
end.
fine. It was,
Sorry, I stopped looking
it's
at
incidental. We know
roll
which
20.
Yeah,
'Cause we haven't
basically,
got
as you go through the order, I will let you know. So far, the top of the round was Silvo, followed by you. You know that for certain so far.
okay. I'm also going to aim at the snake that is wrapped around Waves. If I can aim for the snake's head, that would be great. And ciao, 23.
We'll hit for sure.
That's a natural 19, right? Yeah, 19. And I have improved critical, so for me,
You have crit on a
19.
19?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
very useful. In that case, max damage.
Okay, I have. It's naturally rolled the 3 piercing damage. Do I need to do anything on top of that?
Yeah, because the piercing damage. Yeah, because for the way I do crits is you would have to make it the maximum damage you could do on it.
Which
so
would be 10, right?
right,
1d8 plus 2.
a 1d8
So
plus
it'd
2
be-
would be right.
1d8 plus 2, so 10. Yeah.
Okay,
10.
so 10. So it strikes, and again, you do not feel the grip slacken at all, Waves, but it's definitely been hit a couple times, for sure, and you can feel that. So, good stuff.
Shouldn't that have been max damage? Oh no, yeah, it's max damage for a crit, isn't it?
Right. That's what we just did.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Sorry.
max damage?
Yep, 1d8 plus 2, so it's 10, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, I
light
got a little
crossbow?
distracted.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yep, that's
That's
max damage. That's what we're looking at. Brian, are you moving anywhere?
How far away am I from waves at the moment?
My guess is about probably 20 feet based on where you said you were going to be when she came close to the water. So
Okay, I'm probably going to move towards her by about 5 feet, not too close.
Okay.
So that I can still keep an eye out for any big snappy things coming out the water.
All right. Next to go are, in fact, the snakes. And the first one is going to be the one that is currently unhurt and not wrapped around waves. And that one is going to come slithering towards you, Brian, and is going to attempt to attack you. It lifts up. It is very large. Have I mentioned that? Very large creature. And it lifts up and is going to get a 16. On you,
You
Brian.
have.
Don't forget the armor.
Yes, please don't forget the armor.
Brian, this is on you, this attack.
Sorry, what did I say?
I said this attack is on you. You're being attacked by
Oh,
the
sorry,
snake.
I thought you said on waves. I was saying.
No,
what-
I said it's
what-
not the
my-
one that's
my-
wrapped
my
around
AC
waves. Yeah, no,
my
this one
AC
is
is
slithering
16.
towards you. It is 16? Okay. So remember that moment where I talked about something being wrapped around? I'd like to bring you back to that moment here because that's what's going to happen with you. This thing slithers around you at sort of terrifying speed, I would say, and squeezes. It is going to do 14 points of bludgeoning damage as you are crushed,
I
Brian.
am not going.
Oh
in.
my goodness me.
So that means that the temp is gone, and then there's an additional 4. So you have 29. I have you at, Brian, out of 34 at this point, regular hit points, because you were down 1 hit point to begin with. So you're 29, 34, and you were also restrained. Meanwhile, the other one is continuing to squeeze away. Now, the creature is not going to... It's already hit you once and squeezed around you. So what it is going to do, Waves, is it has the convenient ability to try to bite you while it is squeezing you. So it is going to attempt to do that. It's going to do so at advantage because you are restrained. So we're looking at... That first roll was terrible. That would be an 8, which is clearly a miss. And...
Yeah, nope. Don't eat the bird.
A 22, which I think is not a miss.
Yep, that would hit me. Yep, I have to admit that. That 22 hits. Yes.
That is going to be 9 points of piercing damage as you are bitten. The good news is it's not poisoned. So, not poisoned.
That's the good news.
That's the good news. Okay. Waves, it is your turn. You have something squeezing around you. Now, you can try to escape this, by the way, by making a strength check to basically try to, flex your way out of it if you want.
I'm not sure if this works rule-wise, but I do have a different idea.
Okay.
I take a bonus action and channel divinity to call on the fury of tides. For the next minute, if I take an attack and the attack hits, I can choose to push the target away from me.
Interesting. I tell you what, I have totally picked this up, by the way, from Blades in the Dark, these devil's bargains, and I love doing these. I'll tell you what, I will allow that to happen if it succeeds, but there is a risk, Waves, that you are going to be pulled with it. So in other words, you like towards the water. So I'm saying a chance. There is a chance that it will literally be pushed off of you, but there's also a chance that it will be pushed away from you and you with it.
Yeah, still it would be the thing that Waves does.
Okay. So in that case, you're going to channel this. Now, you said there's a chance that it pushes away, or within
I need to hit. If I don't hit, it's not happening.
Okay, good news. I'm going to give you advantage on this attack because it's literally around you.
Okay.
Should not be hard to hit.
Yeah, that would be nice. So the attack roll is this.
I love the idea of the Kenku actually just, channeling divinity. Like as it's around. Okay.
20.
Definitely hits.
Okay.
So now you're going to push it away, right? So
Yes, I'm pushing it away. But the damage is a little bit higher than it says here because I have +2 from dueling.
Okay.
So the damage would be 10 instead of 8.
Okay. You definitely notice that it's been hit a number, like it's starting to look kind of hurt. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to make a wisdom check here. Basically,
I don't have wisdom.
No, you know what? You don't have any wisdom. No, actually, wait a minute.
I have wisdom. It's not a problem.
I actually take that back. I want you to make a religion check. Because this is
that's intelligence. What?
Yeah, I changed my mind because I want you to channel divinity. So you're channeling divinity. So I'm causing you to draw on that same idea.
We believe.
Chat, anybody who has maybe a little inspiration before I roll, because...
Give you a little inspirational boost, who knows?
Inspiration is possible.
Just asking.
And you know what? Since you mentioned that, since it's intelligence, I don't want it to be something where it's knowledge. I want you to be basically drawing from within you. So you can still do wisdom. That's fine. I'll allow wisdom instead.
I'll do it. Then there's a... Okay, let's do a wisdom check. Yes. I'll just have a quick look at check because I'm trying to push the snake into the water. So...
is chat going to do an inspiration or not if chat has it available on my channel? Effect Life has one and
yes, I really would like it right now.
All right, Effect Life has done so.
Okay, because I'm trying to push the snake into the water and I feel like falling into the water would be really bad right now.
Okay, so you have been given inspiration by the power of Effect Life.
Thank you so much, Effect Life. Let's see. That was a good one.
Wow.
23.
Boy, was it ever. All right, you show me how tell me how. Nice work, Effect Life. That was badass. Critical success. Tell me how this works then. Tell me how this works, Waves, how do you want the snake to go? Because it is going to work without you being pulled.
Okay, I decide to, like I said, I try to decide to push the snake towards the water. So I wanted to fly off me and splash into the water 10 feet away.
Okay, so yeah, it sort of spirals off. There's this kind of, and then this force, this wave of force, and it goes flying off. Yep.
And also, because this works, it now takes additional damage, bludgeoning damage equal to my charisma modifier. This tests the thing. So 3 additional damage on the snake.
Outstanding. Okay, so it hits the water with a slap, and Waves.
Charisma modifier of 3. God damn.
Waves.
Yeah, I've got a charisma. I'm very charismatic, but I've feathers and all.
I knew Silver likes you for a reason.
One thing to note, Waves, when it hits the water, the snake is something odd. The snake seems to be moving oddly, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. It's just something you notice over a few seconds. That said, you're now free from it, and you said that was a bonus action?
That was activating, calling onto my divinity here, which is based on freedom and all of this. So it was really
bonus
good.
Action.
It was the bonus action to activate this.
Okay, so you have another action that you can take.
Then I took my attack, and then so I could still move. And I think I would like to. So the other snake is slithering towards Brian, right? No,
it is actually constraining Brian.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move in that direction to be so that I can be there next round to help her.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Then Oceanus, you are up next. Morthwheel is on deck here.
All right, I will take a shot at the snake that's been blown off.
Okay, in the water. Okay.
In the water, yeah, the one in the water.
All right.
13?
Let's see. Yes, that will hit, and it makes a strange sound, Oceanus, when it hits. But I'll describe that more. Go ahead and do your damage.
Sounds suspiciously like an angry crocodile.
I think you just attacked.
I just rolled again. Okay, I hit the wrong button.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's my first. Why is it not? Okay, I don't know why the damage isn't doing.
What kind of crossbow are you using?
That is not a light crossbow. That's a.
I'm not sure why.
It's a ballista.
Yes, seriously. Oh, okay.
Did somebody say ballista?
Yes, absolutely.
So 3 points of damage? Is that what we're talking about?
Only 3 points of damage, yes.
Okay. All right. Looks very hurt. It's starting to look quite hurt, although as it sort of rides around in the water, it's moving very oddly, and you don't know why, Oceanus. Are you moving anywhere?
I think I know.
I'm not sure I got the total layout. How far away are Waves and Brian?
You were at
from...
the top of this little flat area, the sort of hill that led down to this flat area, probably about 30 feet away from both of them, and another 5 feet, let's say, to the water.
Okay, and is the snake making a strange movement towards us on the hill, or towards them, or
no,
towards
it's just
neither?
kind of writhing in the water at the moment.
Can I get close to Brian and Waves without walking right next to the snake with that 30? Because I got 30 feet. Can I
Well,
use my
if you
30
walk
feet
next to
get there?
Brian, you're definitely going to be next to a snake because the snake is wrapped around Brian, the other
Right,
snake.
sorry, I mean the water snake, though.
Yeah,
without,
yes, I think so. You'd still be a good 15 feet away probably from that.
Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go up to possibly help Brian on my next turn as well, and
Okay.
possibly use my reaction. We'll see what
And,
happens. Okay, that's where I'm
that
going.
sounds like a plan. And Morthwill, you are up.
Okay, so I am going to swing my mallet through the air and unleash a firebolt at the snake wrapped around Brine.
Okay.
So let me roll for that. So that's a 17.
17 will hit.
Okay. Doing 9 damage.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just making one quick adjustment on my thing. Okay. 9 damage. Okay. And I'm sorry, that was the one that was wrapped around Brian, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that definitely hits with no problem. Again, you don't feel the thing slacken in its sort of damage on you, Brian, but it definitely was hit by that.
So I've got a speed of 25, so I'd like to approach, because you said they were 30 feet away, so I'd like to approach till I'm 5 feet away from Waves and Brine.
Okay.
And then I've got a bonus action, because the shield toad has started humming under my arm very faintly. So I press
Ooh.
another button on its back, and you all feel the pressure wave again. And you can let's see what you get this time. 5 temp hit points.
Okay,
you
so
can choose
Silvo
to keep-
stays as it is, right?
They
Brian
can choose
gets
to keep
5.
it if they want, or they can go for the new number, yes.
How many times can you do this, by the way?
Bonus action per round.
But I mean, you can't just permanently continue to just temp forever. can you?
The Eldritch Cannon wears off after an hour.
Okay. I need. All right. Okay. That's
Yeah.
well. All right.
Yeah, but I can do it
That's
once.
Artificer.
I get a free Eldritch Cannon once per long rest. If I want to use more, I have to use spell slots, but I can only have one at a time
Okay.
at this
okay.
level.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So you do that, and presumably, and you have to maintain. It's essentially concentration, right? Like, I mean, you have to continue to use it every time as a bonus action. You said, right?
I have to use it as a bonus action, yes.
Okay.
So if I forget, I forget.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. And so you move next to them. You did that. So that means you still have an action. Oh, because you did your
Nope.
attack too. So you're good.
Yes, so we're all good.
That brings us to the top of the round, and as you're looking down at it, Silvo, you may get the first sort of sight of this, because the creature that's been sort of the snake that's been flailing suddenly, as if you were looking at some people have been talking about in chat about like a piece of spaghetti on the water. Imagine that being pulled down by the middle and just vanishing. And the next thing that you see is that, chat, an enormous crocodile appears on the surface of the water. Really, the jaws first. I'm being a little facetious and making quite that big, although I was amused at the prospect of it. This enormous crocodile, you can see its teeth are wide and yellowed and gleaming in the light. Its eyes are yellowed. The tail kind of flails. And the minute the thing makes its appearance, the almost instantaneously, Brian, the snake releases you, and the snake just slithers off immediately in the other direction, like as fast as it can go. And the 1,000 teeth, for what this must clearly be, lifts its head, opens its mouth. And now I have a question, which is that it is 7:06. Do we do this fight now, or do we wrap it? I think we probably hold it there, right? That is a good place, I think, for us to stop as the party faces down Thousand Teeth. I am super excited to see what happens with this as we continue. And I hope that folks were, enjoying watching all of that, especially the thing with the extra snakes. But look, I mean, maybe he's just helping you out. He's like, hey, let go of my friend. Maybe that's what was happening. Very, very fun. And I am excited about Killer Croc. I am quite excited about Killer Croc. Mostly the reason that I'm excited, I think, about Killer Croc is because you all spent a lot of time deciding if you wanted to go after this thing or not, and you didn't have to. So at this point, I was just like, all right, you're doing this for the fate of the lizard folk so that you can get back in time, for the fate of the, the Alliance, so you can get back to Saltmarsh. Like, there's just a lot of, in favor of is good stuff. So I will start by asking at the very bottom and then working my way back up. So Oceanus, Fleos, it was fun as always to see you inhabit Oceanus with this. Also, it was interesting to see at the very beginning the idea, and I'm very interested to see how that plays out, how you're making of an alliance with the Sea Elves, how that's going to play with the Sea Elves, not to mention, with the lizard folks, since you decided to speak for them.
You did what?
It's like, what do you mean? How could you possibly? So that was interesting. And also, it was necessary for you to be there in part to escape from whatever that big creature was that was, the throwing crabs at waves and all that kind of stuff as you went along. So that was a lot of fun. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I had a lot of fun. I think for me, D&D, my favorite part of D&D is the fighting. So the chance to actually, as a warrior character, actually attack something. This is the first time in the 3 weeks that I've been here that I actually got to attack something.
Oh man, I'm sorry that you only got the one time.
No, I'm seriously considering taking off whatever Tuesday next month, seeing if I can get that off of work just so that we can finish this, and then
that's what you should totally do. Absolutely.
I have to leave now. My planet needs me.
Man.
Yeah. I had lots of fun. Thank you so much for having me again. I will be here on this channel in about 3 hours. Just gonna, eat dinner, put the kids to bed, and then I'll be playing Hitman. So that's where you can catch me next.
Outstanding. And yeah, one thing to think about too is, I don't know about the what people's holidays look like, but December 27th is Christmas holidays, when teachers generally have time off and things like that. So that might be an option. I don't know if it's an option for everybody else, but I'll just throw it out there as one possibility, Fleos, because yeah, we would love to have you as a part of this this throwdown with Thousand Teeth. So but always a pleasure. It's good to have you here, Fleos, and I look forward to seeing some stuff with Hitman maybe later on tonight while I'm doing a little bit of work. Moving right on up the line, and on to great stuff as well from Brian. And we had a few things. Brian sort of has become, in some ways, the spokesman in a lot of occasions for a variety of reasons. And so you got to try to figure out not only this alliance, but also it was interesting to me to see, like, deciding, do we go to talk to the Queen? Do we go to talk to oh my goodness, the shaman whose name is just
Silver.
Sariv, yeah, Sariv. I have like
yes.
too many S's. Sariv, do we go to talk to Sariv, or do we not do any of that? But we need to get information from the Queen in case Sariv is playing us. But then what if we run into the lizard folk on the ship that we sank accidentally, not on purpose?
Accidentally sank. Let's take
yeah.
straight.
So there was a lot of that. And then, of course, you've got the level of exhaustion, which, there wasn't much you could do. You had to, at some point, try to get away from or we would have been fighting some other creature in the middle of the swamp. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I always have a boatload of fun, pun intended, with the D&D crew. It's always an absolute blast, and having Fleos here as well is bonus fun, bonus content. So I'm absolutely up for trying to sort out next month's session when Fleos is also available. But yeah, lots of fun. I love playing Brian, although how I became some kind of spokesperson, I don't know, because like Brian is not very articulate and puts her foot in it more often than not. But yeah, so much fun. Loved Loved it today. After the snakes caused so much damage, I'm slightly nervous to see what the crocodile's
And
gonna
now
do.
the crocodile. Hey, how are you? I'm sure the fact that they ran immediately, one was eaten by and the other one ran from I'm sure that doesn't mean anything. I'm sure that's
doesn't mean anything. It'll be absolutely fine, no problem here.
No problem. Yeah.
Walk in the park. You'll be able to find me. I'll be over on my own channel tomorrow playing some Dark Souls 3, probably playing some more Skyrim on Friday. My shortest spawn is coming back for a long weekend from uni on Thursday, so I'm going to be spending some quality time with him as well. But yeah, so much fun. Thank you so much again, Arv, and the rest of the team. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Ananda. Moving right on up the line, Mike, also good stuff from Silvo today. I like the idea that Silvo was trying to figure out how as well to sort of organize, like, whether we go to the Queen directly, whether we go out and deal with this, how do we actually manage all of that? And then also dealing with this crocodile, which I'm not sure Silvo was super wild about going to deal with one way or the other. But you got to be one of the crossbow brigade up there while all of this was happening. So, do we speak its language? It's a good question. Not so much, unless it's the language of food that it desires to consume. Mike, how'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
To be fair, we could be pretty fluent in the language of food that this crocodile likes to consume.
It's true. It's true.
It
Probably
depends on its
so.
Taste. Yeah, absolutely. I adored this. This went far too fast, far too quickly, and I cannot wait for the next one, to be honest with you. There was a bit of trepidation in regards to Silvo just immediately trusting, here's this sage lizard person, and you should definitely trust everything this person says, because he's just like... Nearly everyone has tried to stab him in the back at some point. And there is a small part of him that's just like, well, we're going to go and kill the crocodile. He's going to stay in the back. And if the worst happens, like, he probably has an exit strategy. Like, he'll rescue his friends, and they are sort of friends, not co-workers at this point. They are friends. He'll rescue his friends if they're not inside of a giant crocodile stomach. If they're in a giant crocodile stomach, there's very little he can do. So, yeah, there is that sort of moment of Silvo kind of believes that they are going to pull this off. So yeah, exactly. Parangage with Silvo's friends from work. They're friends from work. It's fine. But yeah, if you want to find out more about myself, I'm not on social media anymore. That was a bit of a big thing recently. I've given up social media. I'm still posting videos on YouTube, and I'm still streaming on Twitch. Speaking of streaming on Twitch, there are going to be some streams tomorrow featuring my silly voice and face, but also if you check out my channel, which is Peripheral Mike, you'll be able to check me out tomorrow afternoon GMT. I think that's still the time zone I'm in. I'm not 100% sure anymore. Where I'll be playing some sort of PlayStation 2 game. I don't know what. It will probably be Silent Hill 2 because I'm obsessed with it, but it will probably be something fun where we can make fun of bad graphics and bad gameplay. If you want to find out more information about myself, or you want to check out the latest posts, I'm going to stick a link to my Discord in chat right now, so you can follow me there. That's it.
Good stuff. Very exciting. I am happy to hear about all of that. And I'm interested to see what game you ultimately choose. But always a pleasure. Thank you, Mike. Good stuff today. Good stuff as well from Darksaber. That freaking shield toad of yours is going to be very useful. I will have to consider options for how that works. But I mean, the thing is that the temporary, as you say, it's a once every long rest kind of thing.
Get it for now. It does have AC and hit points as well, so it can be destroyed over the course of a fight, and then that's that, basically.
Okay. Something to consider is that if something attacks you, I may rule that has a chance to actually hit that thing also. So that may be another thing I'll consider.
It's a good time to mention it's got legs and can move independently as part of the bonus action.
Oh, absolutely. As long as you let me know that that's what it's doing. Like right now it's under your arm. So
yeah, but I can just drop it and it can just literally waddle off.
No, totally. But like at that point it becomes its own separate target. That may be an issue. So we'll think about that. But I love it. I mean, it's fun. And it is a little bit like Spanner. It's true.
Your reaction was pretty much the same. Like I'm reading it and I'm like, is this right? I was going over the rules again and again, making sure I understood it right if I was going to take this path, because I was like, really? Wow.
Yeah, no, I am going to I'm going to double check myself, but I think I'm sure that you're right. I'm sure that it's exactly, and I feel like there are, because you made an artillerist, right?
Yeah. It's page 18 of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything if you want to reference it when you got a chance.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I've been excited. And that's just, it's not even its final form.
Yeah.
But why I think this is could actually be possible, because this is actually very similar to the heroism spell, which also gives a creature temporary hit points at the start of each of its turns, and it's a level 1 spell. So for me, this sounds reasonable.
Yeah, each of your turn you can take a bonus action to cause the cannon to activate if you're within 60 feet of it. And I'm looking at the protector version of that you've done.
That's the shield toad one. I mean, I can choose which form it takes when I deploy it.
Till you finish.
Which is why it has buttons.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'm okay with that. I think 10 feet of it also is going to be, because they won't always be huddled together. So we'll need to make sure that we're watching on the 10 feet part. But no, I mean, I'm okay with that. I think, I think that your character's uniquely interesting in that way. So I think that's right. Anyway, so you got a chance to do that, and you got to see that. But then you also got, I was loving, by the way, the whole like, I forgot to mention Silvo shutting down the light as Waves is walking towards the water. So Waves is just like, why is there nothing? But anyway, so Morthwill was there with the mallet and ready to go with the shield toad. So very interesting and kind of unique, I think, to the way that the artillerist plays things. And of course, Morthwill, I don't know how much you were excited about going after a massive crocodile, but this is whatever you had to deal with if you were going to advance the cause of the party. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
It was a lot of fun. Not just being able to deploy the shield toad, which, to be fair, was last second named when I deployed it, just because we were talking about
that was
how
funny.
I absolutely adore that translation from German, and it's just like, yes, it's actually appropriate. I get to use it. I'm so happy.
Shield toad.
It's brilliant.
Yep.
But yeah, I like the reaction when I stood with the crossbow people with my mallet, and Waves is just like, crossbow?
Yeah, like, what the hell? Yeah.
But yeah, and then the troll chase and the attempt at stealth throwing. There's a lot of fun moments tonight.
Yeah, that's right. You hit Waves in the back of the head with the food. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been a lot of fun moments, and then we're all going to get eaten. So I'll start working on my next character.
Yeah, it's been great, everyone.
It's been great. 10 pit points are only going to get us so far against this, I think.
Temp this, smash. Like,
yeah.
Past the first dozen teeth.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get you through 500 teeth, but what about the other 450
So,
teeth?
like I said, I can tentatively do the 27th, as I'm saying in Discord, but we've got Talisman Adventures next week as well, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yep.
And then, of course, tomorrow we have a thing. Watch the schedules. That's what I'll say on that.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, I will also be doing a pretty big release stream for GOG as well, which I'm very much looking forward to, and slightly terrified about how the hell I'm going to present this. So yeah,
that's incredibly intrigued.
Seriously.
And yeah, and then on Thursday, Friday, I'll be carrying on with Mass Effect 3 over on my own channel. So I've got a pretty full schedule this week.
Good stuff. I am excited to see some of that happen. Saber, always a pleasure. Thank you as always. Best of luck. Now that we've tied, best of luck to Wales in the World Cup going forward. Last but certainly not least, Pyron, some really good things that we got from Waves. I think you had planned everything in terms of, like, I loved you were coordinating. You're like, all right, you go here, you go up here, I'm going to go over here. Like, you're prepping everything and it's all set. And you have a snake that lands on top of you and you're just like, all right. And Effect Life with that super clutch inspiration that allowed you to get the thing off you and towards the water as opposed to you into the water, because that could have been you with 1,000 teeth in the water as opposed to just the snake. So that was good stuff. And it was a reminder of the fact that Waves really does have this paladin, he's a paladin, not just a sort of random fighter. So how did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I think it was a wonderful session. I loved our little things, like still in the wizard lair, with like trying to figure out diplomacy and all of this.
Yep.
And Yeah, I mean, and then there was the swamp monster would throw a crab at me, so that was also really interesting, I think.
Yeah, and all of
I
you
do
doing
wonder,
this, by the way, like rowing frantically. It was really fun.
and I do wonder what I said to the swamp monster that made it so angry, because it was just
Yeah.
repeating what it was said, and it sounded so nicely and satisfied. So I was hoping I would be saying something like yummy crabs good or something, but apparently not.
Nope.
Maybe I said something like, "These are my crabs."
You were
So
yelling
it was-
like, basically it was yelling a challenge at you, and like, what are you doing? You basically yelled the challenge right back. So it was just get out, you'll pay for being this close. So you basically were like, you'll pay for being this close.
No. I wanted to.
no.
I wanted to repeat what we heard before when we heard it in the distance, when it was like munching.
Oh, I didn't
That's
get
why I
that.
thought I would be saying something like nice crabs, tasty crabs, or something like that, and hopefully it would be.
Oh, I see.
Like,
that still would
I've
work
got-
because then it would have been angry that you were asking for its crabs. So that would have worked either way.
Yeah, so
probably.
it doesn't matter. Swamp monster, angry monster, throws crab, I get hit by ration. I don't know. It was really mysterious.
Yes, my apologies for misunderstanding, but it would have probably attacked you anyway in that event. But that's funny. No, I totally thought you meant you were just repeating, you were just yelling back at it. I didn't realize you were repeating that. Okay. Still, I think it would have attacked anyway, but my apologies for misunderstanding.
And I actually didn't think the crocodile would be like such a big deal. Although I remember that the queen had the heads of this very dangerous sea monster in there. So maybe I should have had more trust in her ability to judge the danger of the crocodile. But now considering that a snake could have nearly killed me, I'm a bit more tense about the fight that is coming up, but we'll see. I'm also really happy that I don't have to get the other snake out of brine, because I was like, what happens if I hit the snake now that I have the Fury of the Tides activated? Will I push like Brian into
absolutely.
the water with the snake, like poof? Because I can't really deactivate it, I think. So that would have been interesting. Actually, tomorrow there is going to be a thing. So tomorrow evening I'm going to be here again. We can't talk about it yet, but there's going to be a thing. And I'm also really excited for Saber's big release stream on Saturday. That will also be revealed tomorrow if I have my schedule right. So we really have a lot of excellent things happening on this channel this week, and I hope to see you all here. And so tomorrow and then next week for Talisman, that's when you're going to see me.
Awesome. Great stuff again from everybody. I always very, very much enjoy this, as you folks know. And I'm excited to see how things happen in our next session, which we will coordinate. And of course, I will see three of you, specifically Pyron and Darksaber and Peripheral Mike, joined by Undeveloped Bruce next week for Talisman Adventures. And I will see Ananda back here, and hopefully Fleos, assuming we arrange this, I'll see Ananda and Fleos back with us next month. Chat, can we get some love for the amazing players? Great stuff today, chat. Well, great stuff for chat, yes, but also great stuff players. And I will see you folks next month. Bye for now, all.
Yeah.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
All right. And there we go. Good stuff. As I say, I have very much enjoyed this. And I totally did not get that that's what she wanted to yell back at it. I feel a little bit bad about that. But as I say, it probably would have attacked anyway, even based on that. But that is not what I thought was being said. But nonetheless, it worked out, chat. Thanks to Effect Life, we actually got, you got what needed to be gotten, and you made that, so it all worked out in the end. And now they just have Thousand Teeth, the crocodile. That's going to be fine. Yeah, my pleasure, Mike. I have no idea why you weren't followed before. I must have followed you a year or two ago, and then I think what happened was it must have unfollowed you at some point, maybe when you were streaming on YouTube, because I was like, why am I not getting any of this? And it was like, you're not following. I'm like, herp derp. I did follow. I follow everybody. I follow Fleos. I don't know. Anyway, I follow Ananda. I follow everybody. So I don't know. Obviously, follow Darksaber. So I don't know what the deal is. But regardless, it is now followed again. So no, Fleos I follow. Of course, I follow all these folks. They're amazing streamers, and you should follow them too. But I'm gonna rise up on out of here, chat. I'm going to be back on my own channel on Friday with more Ghost of Tsushima, which has been an amazing game that you should totally check out. And if you like the D&D that you saw tonight, can I recommend that you stop by my channel on Saturday night, where the continuing long campaign, Eberron, Oracle of War, Song of the Sky, is concluding. That is going to be the end of Season 2 of Oracle of War. That is a season that is planned for 5 seasons, actually. It's going to bring them all the way to level 20. They're currently sitting, I believe, at level 7, I want to say. So they have made great progress, and they're going to be making more on Saturday. So that is the deal with that. But I am exciting. Yeah, exactly. Twitch does weird things. What did you miss? You missed a big freaking. You missed stuff. You missed things. You missed You missed a big crocodile and stuff. Snakes on a wave, exactly. But yes, and I will also be back, as we said, next Tuesday with Talisman Adventures. So that'll be happening next week as well. And I should mention to everybody that if you are around here, you should stick around, because Fleos is going to be back on in a few hours playing some Hitmans. You're definitely Hitman Absolution. You'll definitely want to be here for that. Yeah. So I want to thank everyone who was here. I want to thank everyone who contributed in chat today. Thank you to Effect Life for that inspiration. And thank you to all the lovely people who gave the support to the players and to this campaign. As always, if you like this, please do spread the word about it. Let people know, because we are always happy to be able to play D&D for you folks. We really do enjoy it. It's a highlight of our month, and we hope that you will spread the word and let others know about it as we go through. That's going to do it for Pen and Pixels for today. I'll be back next week with more Talisman Adventures. I'll be back on Friday as well, on my own channel with Ghost of Tsushima, and then Saturday with D&D, with Infinity and Beyond, Eberron, Oracle of War on my own channel. And I'll be back with this full crew that I was just with, next month as we continue with the challenge against the crocodile. Always my pleasure, Fleos. That's going to do it for me. Thanks to everyone. Much love. And I guess I can try to do a raid here, probably, actually, I suppose. So I will see about that. So stick around, and then one of the wonderful mods, will raid once we're done with this. And remember, come back here in a few hours for Fleos. Thanks, everyone. Much love to all. And for those of you who live in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. I am very grateful for all of you and for my wonderful players. And I will catch all of you lovely folks soon. Until next time, chat, everyone, as always, be good to each other. Bye for now.